Hey, what's up, guys? Super Magical Cup number 9. I'm finally back after a
Rainy
long...
back. Rainy back. That's all the club screaming, yeah, rainy back.
Oh, man. It's been a while, Rumham, and I've been busy, and it's been a while since we've been able to connect. There were weeks where you were gone, weeks where I was gone, but now we're finally here for Super Magical Cup number 9. And the most interesting thing, Rumham, about this broadcast is it is the last open tournament of the season.
That's right.
And next week we'll be having the invitational. So yeah, you can look at the leaderboards, and these are the top 16 players currently. Of course, this might change.
Could change. Actually, it's even changed from last week. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw several people from last week fall off because we had new top 8 and top 4 competitors claiming more Super Magical Cup points.
And actually, speaking on that note, could you remind me, because I feel like last week had a few new faces that were pretty well known. How did that play out for them?
Last week's tournament was very exciting. I wish you could have been there. So 2 weeks ago, we had Justin, who is a very popular tournament player, plays in a lot of tournaments around the community, enter his first Super Magical Cup, get all the way to the finals, and win. And that was incredible. This last week, Justin came back. He was campaigning to be the first repeat champion, and not only to be the first repeat champion, but to do it back to back, which would have been incredible.
Yeah.
Got all the way to a finals, and a first-time top 8er by the name of Juan. He goes by Storm sometimes in the real game. He's actually a top 20 player on the leaderboard.
Oh,
I didn't
wow.
know that. Yeah,
That's crazy.
Got all the way and fought Justin in the finals and won with one of my favorite decks in the entire meta, a Golem Poison deck. He played the kind of triangle defense deck with Poison for one of his decks. His other deck kept Elixir Collector, Poison, Skeletons, all the support cards, but swapped out the Valkyrie, Hog, Musketeer for Golem and Minions and all these other support troops, and played a double Poison deck.
That's really interesting, because we were talking about the last time we were casting together. We were kind of playing up like the strength of like Golem, and then Poison as a card was just rising in popularity, but it was never really demonstrated in the tournament, which was interesting.
And I talked about it in the pre-show. Actually, if you watch the entire broadcast from last week, it went perfectly, because during this exact pre-show, I said, you know what deck I'd like to see this week is Golem Poison is doing really well on the leaderboard. If you actually look at the top 20 people on the ladder, top 50 people on the ladder, it's a very common deck. It's right up there with the minor minion horde sort of cycle decks. It's up there with the triangle defense with the Valkyrie and Hogs and things. It's just one of the popular archetypes, but we never saw it represented at the Super Magical Cup until last week, when it went all the way and won the deciding game.
That's crazy.
Great. It was a great match. We also had some impressive repeat performances. I believe Raintown made a top 8.
Nice.
Which was awesome. We haven't seen Raintown in the top 8 in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And otherwise, Clyde was actually, Clyde and Makawa were new top 4 competitors. You see them down there at the 15th and 16th spot.
Nice.
Clyde was actually a very awesome competitor to watch. He had a Lava Hound deck that he took all the way to the top 4.
Oh, man.
And I love Lava Hound. I'm a big fan of watching the Hound.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, to speak more to how Clash Royale will be moving on in the future, there have been some interesting updates that we've received from Supercell about balance changes. Let's take a moment to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, let's see if we can pull those up. I am an unbelievably huge fan of these balance changes. I'm actually surprised at how tepidly received the community has been about it. I think the community is incredibly underestimating how great of a series of balance changes this is going to be. The tournament meta, especially the tournament meta, is going to be so diverse, so varied. So many archetypes that have just been not quite good enough get pushed over the threshold into being good enough that I could see, as soon as next week with the Super Magical Cup Invitational, a meta in where 10, 12 different decks are viable to win.
Yeah, and it'll be super interesting too, just because that's not really a lot of time for people to settle into a comfortable pick, right?
5 days, 4 or 5 days.
There's a lot of, I think there's, even in today's meta, I feel like there's a lot of variety to be played, but people are clearly more comfortable with certain types of decks, more comfortable with Hog Cycle, more comfortable with Royal Giant. I think when this patch comes out, there's not enough time for them to find what is comfortable. Some people might be thinking that, hey, maybe Double Prince P.E.K.K.A. is the new deck to kind of really play. Some people might be thinking, you know what, maybe Royal Giant is the new deck to play, and they won't be so sure about their decisions.
A lot of longtime players might have experience with the Prince Double P.E.K.K.A. or the Double Prince P.E.K.K.A. deck from back when it was the OP deck. It was named the OP deck many months ago. You know who's not going to be upset is second place Super Magical Cup competitor Woody, who has played the nerfed Mortar to multiple top 4 places, and Mortar gets buffed, so he can just play the exact same deck and it's just strictly better.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we were. I mean, that
Can we put them on screen? Can we put the balance updates on screen by
Let's
chance?
go ahead and do just that. Let's see how well this shows up here.
We'll pull it.
Let's do this. Does this work? Nope. All right.
You have to make it a tab.
You know what? You know what? We're gonna do it live here.
We got it.
We're gonna do this.
Dun 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 dun. We've got it. All right, let's go through these real quick. We got a tournament to start in about 15 minutes, so stay tuned, guys. We're gonna start. Matches actually start at noon. We start our coverage at around 12:05, 12:10 to let the first round of matches resolve, and then we'll start watching the replays and going through the matches at that point.
Right. So, interesting thing about Mortar is that they're decreasing the deploy time. And one of the things that we noticed when Woody played a lot was that even in situations where he was in a very large advantage, he would place his mortar down, but that deploy time allowed the enemy to gain enough elixir to put a good card down to kind of attract the boarder's attention. With that deploy time being reduced by 1 second, that might be the difference of being able to put down maybe a 3 elixir kind of card like maybe a miner or a knight, and then having to play something like goblins or a skeleton, which do much worse against the mortar. And kind of controlling the targeting of the mortar is really important playing against a siege deck.
Yeah, hands down the biggest changes. Well, I guess there's a handful, right? But like the Prince and P.E.K.K.A. changes are far and away the most impactful in terms of like creating new deck archetypes.
Yeah.
Because P.E.K.K.A. double Prince used to be a very popular deck archetype. It was named the OP deck for a while. The change to to add level 13 commons and level 11 rares was almost in response specifically to that deck. Now, one of the things that level 8 Princes and P.E.K.K.A.s could do to level 12 Barbarians, or at the old tournament rules, was they would one-hit. Prince and P.E.K.K.A. would one-hit these Barbarians.
Yeah.
And the addition of level 13 Barbarians made that not true anymore, but then these damage increases will make that true again. So Barbarians will get 1 hit by a P.E.K.K.A., 2 hit by a Prince, or 1 hit by a charging Prince. This is a huge change to me that's going to allow those decks to be very viable, because right now they all get gummed up by Barbarians. And you have to 2-hit every Barbarian, and they're all just piling on you. A single squad of Barbarians could counter a P.E.K.K.A. But now P.E.K.K.A. chops through all 4 of them, and even though it'll be pretty low health when that happens, the P.E.K.K.A. still wins the fight, which is a huge difference.
So the key difference here is that even though the Prince and the P.E.K.K.A.'s damage is increased, their survivability is not exactly the same as how the interaction was before, just because before it was actually both the health and the damage because their levels were closer.
Yeah.
But
if you think about the level 13 Barbarians is sort of like the Barbarians get a 2% health buff and a 10% damage buff over the last time that they got one hit. So I don't think it'll be as bad. I'm kind of nervous about this because I remember how oppressive the double Prince P.E.K.K.A. deck was. So I'm like worried about it. But on the other hand, Freeze has been nerfed. Both Princes have been nerfed since that deck was ruling everything. Barbarians and other commons have been buffed. There's new cards like Guards in the meta, so there's more options for which to distract them with. Those have been 2 huge ones. If you scroll down a little bit, these 3 changes right here are actually huge. Witch damage increased by 17%.
That's a lot
is
of damage.
is I've done the math on it already. Witch is now an elite card, and probably an elite card at tournament play. This card does everything now on defense. It now 3 hits Minion Horde instead of 4 hitting it now, and it used to 5 hit it like before the other damage buffs. So if you consider Witch is now a very, very reasonable counter to Minion Horde coming at your tower, maybe instead of something like Zap. Like sure, you pay a little more, but you get a Witch that survives to counterattack with. And Witch is now going to 10-hit Barbarians instead of 12-hitting Barbarians. Now that's a lot. That's a couple hits you take off. Between the tower and the skeletons and the Witch attack, I'm pretty sure a Witch can defend against a squad of Barbarians and completely survive at full health, which makes her a very reasonable defensive card against a variety of common offensive options.
Yeah, and the interesting thing that I note about this Witch change is that currently, the way I see it, there are a few key 5 elixir defensive cards. Well, 2 key 5 elixir defensive cards. There's the Barbarian, and then there's the Minion Horde, right? And then the Witch now, I feel like in my eyes, becomes an alternative 5 elixir option.
That's a very good point.
And it depends on, you might choose Barbarians for one style of deck, you might choose Minion Horde for another, you might now choose Witch for again another style of deck.
My only big concern about this buff is that if Witch becomes really good against barbarians and minion hordes, what place does Wizard have in the game? Like a regular Fire Wizard. If you actually look, Witch after this update does like 140 DPS, Wizard does like 190 DPS. There's not a huge defensive, or not a huge offensive increase to the Wizard when you consider that Witch also summons skeletons and attacks quickly and all these other...
And they both survive a Fireball.
They both,
of equal level. They both survive with just a sliver of health. And the Witch throws out skeletons alongside that. So interesting to consider. Just thinking about that on the surface, that is a very interesting question to bring up. I think the Wizard has a little bit of an interesting difference between the Witch just because it's instant. His damage is instant, right? He blows away in one big attack rather than many smaller attacks.
Sure.
And also the Wizard kind of has that balloon effect where the first target he hits is kind of super quick.
Yeah.
So, interesting question.
I think people... Okay, so one thing I want to address is that people have been asking, why isn't there a Royal Giant nerf? I think that people do not understand that Royal Giant did get nerfed in this balance update because Prince and P.E.K.K.A. are very good against that card. Witch is pretty good against that card. And with all these other cards being buffed, there's now a lot of reasonable counters and alternatives to Royal Giant that I think you're going to see Royal Giant decks not do very well in the meta. I mean, they'll be fine. It's still a good, powerful card, but I don't think it's going to seem nearly as oppressive because there's so many other options to counter it with, and then also just archetypes that crush it. Prince P.E.K.K.A. murders Royal Giant so badly. Sure, the Royal Giant might take 3 or 4 shots on your tower, but the P.E.K.K.A. is going to kill that Royal Giant and then come counterattack and bulldoze your tower for way more.
Basically, you get a P.E.K.K.A. for -1 elixir compared to your opponent, right? Because P.E.K.K.A. is 7, Royal Giant is 6. You play the P.E.K.K.A., the Royal Giant gets a few swings off, but then now you have a full health P.E.K.K.A., and you only paid really 1 elixir deficit for it.
Sure. So. I think we'll get into the coverage real soon here. The Lava Hound damage increase is not that much. People kind of freak out. It's not the pups, it's just the Lava Hound.
Yeah.
You're going to see it probably in today's tournament. The number 1 counter to Lava Hound is just to cast like Cannon or something in the middle of the board and let... The Lava Hound currently does less damage to a cannon than the tower does to the Lava Hound. So it's actually easy to tank the Lava Hound with just any defensive tower. Pick it, doesn't matter, any defensive tower. And your tower will burn down the Lava Hound faster than the tower dies. So I like giving it a little bit of a damage buff. It seems like a lot percentage-wise, but the jump is from like 40 damage to like 55 damage. It's like not a significant amount of actual damage. The Skeleton nerf, I think, is actually really, really good. I think a lot of people are very upset about this, but I really like it because right now I feel like goblins and spear goblins and stuff, or maybe not, I don't want to say about goblins, spear goblins, but skeletons counter too many things. If you think about the reason why cards like Giant Skeleton, P.E.K.K.A., Prince, things like that are hard or difficult to be viable, are because of skeletons, how badly skeletons wreck those cards. And even cards that do see play, like Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Musketeer, I don't think it's good for the game to have a 1 elixir card that cycles through your deck very fast and whatever, that can single-handedly kill Musketeer, for example. Like when Musketeer walks onto your side of the board, if you drop skeletons right on top of her, she does 0 damage, and the 4 skeletons kill her along with the tower. I don't like the idea that there are 1-for-4 elixir trades in the game that are that easy to pull off. You can do that same thing with Prince, you can do the same with Mini P.E.K.K.A. I don't like that there's a lot of 1-for-4s, 1-for-5s, 1-for-6s or whatever. I don't think that's healthy for the game, so I like skeletons becoming more of a niche card and a distraction card than one of the highest DPS for the elixir cost cards in the game.
And to put it in perspective, when you think of one of the hardest counters in the game, like Minion Horde versus Zap, that's almost equal to the advantage you get by Skeleton versus Musketeer. But even then, it's not exactly the best counter to use Zap against Minion Horde in certain cases, as we see with a minor Minion Horde deck, right? It's still very dangerous. But just to think of that advantage that skeletons can give you is actually, it's not often in the game that you get such a big elixir advantage out of such a cheap card.
Every single elixir collector deck at least considers playing skeletons because there's no replacement for a 1 elixir card. If you're trying to play 2 elixir collectors, you need to play 4 cards between each collector. It's invaluable to have a 1 elixir card there, because if you go skeleton, Zap, Spear Goblins, Musketeer, right, you just spent 9 elixir to get between your collectors, and you could only have done that with a 1 elixir card, right?
Absolutely.
The Cannon and Tesla nerf, I don't think this is actually, they've nerfed Cannon like 4 patches in a row and it's still played in 90% of, as you know what I mean? Like, so people are freaking out about this nerf, but I really like that they're really trying to buff Tesla. The big difference to me is I don't think Tesla can Tesla's problem is not so much its hit points or its damage. It's the fact that since it's a 2x2 footprint instead of a 3x3 footprint, it's harder to distract things with it.
Yeah.
You can't play a Tesla in the middle because hog riders that jump over the corner of the river just dodge it altogether, whereas a 3x3 cannon may become...
Yeah. And really, I feel like even with the nerfs to the cannon stats, that was a big strong factor of having the cannon, is that it provides you that structured offense. It attracts building chasers, but at a very cheap cost. You know what I mean? And and that's kind of why people wanted to use the cannon, not because it was particularly effective. I mean, the damage was a nice kind of like, oh, here, we'll have this too. But to be able to just control things, especially when hog riders, when Royal Giants are so popular in the meta, people just wanted that structure to be able to control the aggro just a little bit, because every single, as we see in the Super Magical Cup, right? Every single little piece of damage really goes a long way. And if you can just, I mean, a Hog Rider, Orange Juice made a really great video, Yarn made a really great video about this. Hog Rider onto a cannon, if you don't spend anything, the Hog Rider gets 0 swings on the tower. If you spend a zap, it gets 1. For a 3-cost card cannon, that's really, really effective in preventing a lot of hog cycle decks from doing big damage.
That's actually what people forget. People are saying that, oh my god, you're nerfing hog. This makes Hog Rider better. This makes Royal Giant better. Actually, I think that cannon is the card that makes those decks better. Like, for example, if I'm a hog cycle deck, I just throw everything at you and I try to take a tower. And you're like, all right, I stop the Hog Rider, I'm going to counterattack. But when you counterattack with things like Barbarians or Mini P.E.K.K.A., a single cannon will hold off a lot of your push. Like, a cannon plus a zap can hold off far more than 5 elixir worth of troops, and I feel like the very powerful cannon is what let these cheap cycle decks have a lazy defense and get away with it. Now, between Hog being nerfed a little bit, Cannon being nerfed a little bit, and the more expensive cards being good this patch, it's going to be harder for these decks that are like 3.1 elixir cycle to maintain a powerful defense, because, you know, that's they're relying on cannon. The big decks that counter Royal Giant have like Musketeer, Mini P.E.K.K.A., things like that. They're not relying on cannon. They're relying on high damage troops to kill the Royal Giant counterattack. The Royal Giant deck's the one that's relying on the cannon to stop those cards.
Absolutely. So, I mean, a lot of really exciting changes. I'm super excited to play the game after the 21st when it releases.
I cannot wait for the Super Magical Cup Invitational. The tournament meta is going to be so good, Rainy.
I know, and we're going to see players the likes of Clark Kent, Manu Fan, Woody. And, you know,
let's go through the bracket real quick. We're about to start matches. Right? Let's just check the bracket right now, because we want to show how many cool names we got going on. We're going to be in Group A, I believe, at first.
Yeah.
We've got, let's see, from last week, Archwin. Who else is in this? Makawa. Oh, yeah, scroll over here. We got Makawa, last week's top 4 competitor. Interlol, a top 8 from last week. Raintown as well. Actually, Raintown Interlol should be a good matchup. I believe they played last week in the top 4, top 8. Naders, who's also on the leaderboard.
Yep.
Sparks is every week. Jeff's there.
Jeff down here.
Vizard, who played, I believe, in top 16 or top 32 last week. He made it pretty far.
Cool. Yeah, a lot of exciting matches in Group A, and that's where we're going to be starting out. And then we have some interesting options for where we may go in the middle of group play coverage. You can see Clark Kent is hanging out up here. We got Alpha Kevin. We got Ado is actually a name that we've seen. I think he's been doing okay.
All right. I recognize Asith.
Yeah.
And XYX from prior weeks.
Yeah, XYX, Scrazzer.
Scrazzer, a past winner.
Yep.
Winner and a multiple-time top 4 competitor.
Absolutely. So that's Group B.
Baron Shadow, of course, in Group B as well.
Oh yeah, right
Very
there.
Bottom.
I almost missed that. Thanks for catching that. And then on Group C, we've got Anzarox. Chief Anzarox is a name that we've seen quite often. Of course, the big orange there.
Yarn.
Yarn himself.
It's a orange juice.
That was pretty good.
That's pretty good. I've been practicing. I've been watching a lot of his videos.
Ruination is a name that
also
we've
a top 8 competitor in the past.
Yep. And then we got some interesting. And there's
My
Woody.
man Woody.
There's Woody.
I love me some mortar play.
Something really interesting to think about too is that based on the results of the Super Magical Cup, I feel like almost Group D is the one with least known names, right? But I have a feeling, Rumham, that Group D is going to produce a tournament winner based on how the previous Super Magical Cups go. The first time attendance seemed to be very, very strong commonly.
What I like is that I don't actually see any. Other than Clyde, I don't think, who's actually just off screen, just below the screen capture. Other than Clyde, I don't think there's a single top 8 competitor in Group D. So I like that we're going to get some new people into the top 8. And if one of them wins, you're right, they will have earned a spot into the Invitational.
Is that Pompeo?
Oh, that is Pompeo. Never mind. Pompeo, this might be his first
Super Magical
Super Magical Cup, but Pompeo is a very well-regarded player within the community.
I'm super excited. This whole week, I've been reading so many threads on Reddit. This whole week, I was just thinking about, man, how cool would it be if we got Pompeo to put up his skills in a Super Magical Cup? And I just, now seeing him here is just great. I'm really excited to see how that plays out, and I really want to see what he offers to the table. Now, last week we had Nick at Night and we had Yarn, and they were knocked out early on in the bracket, but they had to face kind of people who played really far into the tournament, played really far into the bracket, and almost tournament winners in some cases. And I believe Nick and Knight had to face Juan early on. Correct me if I'm wrong,
Juan? Or no, it was Clyde. Dude, Clyde last week, who's in Group D, crushed through an absolute killer's row of people to his way to the top four. He beat Nick at Night, Yarn, and another, I want to say Raintown as well. Like he beat a lot of people on our leaderboards.
Big names.
For sure.
And so I was just talking about Pompeo. I just really want to see if he suffers the same fate. We'll see. All right. So that's the pre-show. And we have some matches playing out right now, so we can jump right into the games. But before we do that, Rumham, I just want to make sure that we get the raffles going. So we're going to start our first question right at the start of the stream. And if you guys have not done this before, what we do is when we open the raffle, you type !raffle into the chat, space, and then answer the question that we provide with whatever you want afterwards, right? So the first question is going to be, what new cards do you most want to try after the June 21st patch? And what I mean by new cards is just new to you. It's cards that
what changed card are you most excited to try out?
Absolutely. So that is the question. What changed card do you most want to try after the June 21st patch? And the raffle is now open, so go ahead and !raffle space answer to the question that we provided. So raffle's on the way, Rumham. We are in the clan. We have games to spectate. Let's go ahead and choose. Now, there was a particular match in the first round that we really wanted to watch.
I believe it's near the bottom. It might be. I don't know if
is
they
it
play
Raintown?
Game it's Raintown and Interlol.
Oh,
so I believe there's a game, yeah. So I believe Raintown and Interlol, I think, played last week in the top 8. And maybe I'm forgetting this a little wrong, but I believe that they played in the top 8 last week, and Raintown ended up getting. God, I don't even want to predict it.
Yeah.
They played, both of these were top 8 competitors in very recent weeks, so to have them play in the first round is a great, high-quality matchup to just get right into to start the tournament off with.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the match preview and take a look at what Raintown has to offer today and what Interlol has to counter that. So, Interlol running, again, as we talked about, the Hog Rider, the Mini P.E.K.K.A, the Double Threat, a few cheap cards, and then the Cannon. And as Rumham mentioned earlier, the Cannon is almost the card that makes these Hog Cycle decks, makes these World Giant decks very, very strong because it's a super efficient defense against so many different cards, just in the fact that it pulls units towards the center of the map into the range of both towers and also does damage on its own. What does Raintown have in store for us, Rumham?
I expect the MVP of both decks here to be the Cannon and Mini P.E.K.K.A that exist in both decks, because with Interlol relying on Hog Rider and Raintown relying on Royal Giant, I'm fairly certain that the Cannon and Mini P.E.K.K.A are going to be the main things to stop those high hit point, high damage building chasers from doing damage. Whoever plays that combo better will probably win. Another interesting aspect is that both are running Zap, both are running Mini P.E.K.K.A. How many Mini P.E.K.K.As can make it to a tower and start the four hit to death little trick there?
So I'm going to go out on a limb here, Rumham. I'm going to say Interlol is going to win because he has the ability to control the pace of the match with the Elixir Collector. And when Raintown chooses to punish with the Fireball, Interlol is going to be able to use his cheap cards to overrun Raintown.
I like Raintown, but I don't like Royal Giant decks without Elixir Collector. I agree that could really come back to bite him, especially because Raintown's deck doesn't have any way to go punish Elixir Collectors other than fireballing them.
All right, so let's go ahead and see if that is the case. Of course, never to downplay Raintown's skill level. He's a player who works really hard. He's
3-time top 8er.
Yeah.
In the Super Magical. We've had this will be our 9th event. So in 8 events that we've had, he's top 8'd 3 of them.
Yeah.
About a 50% hit ratio in a 128-person single elimination tournament. That is incredible.
It is rough. It's very rough to be consistent in a single elimination format. we definitely understand that, and Raintown has performed admirably. So, in the beginning moments of the game, Princess versus I really like that positioning by Raintown. That is like a classic Princess versus Princess move to do, but Goblins will take down Raintown's Princess quite quickly. We have the minions moving across, but gets zapped. And they're kind of just trading princesses at this point in time. Not really doing very much significant damage, but now Interlol has a cycle that he wants, and he begins the Elixir Collector.
That worked out far better for Interlol, because Interlol's game is to get down 1 or 2 Elixir Collectors. So the worst thing that could possibly happen would be some big push. You have to spend a lot of Elixir defending, and it prevents you from getting out your Collector. I think he very much was happy to have the early just zaps and minions back and forth.
Royal Giant Mini P.E.K.K.A. And oh no, that is not
the greatest cannon play in history. So the cannon is a little too far up. The Royal Giant shoots at a very far range, but if you notice, when the Royal Giant was on the bridge, it wasn't being attacked by the tower.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was a little too much. Opts to not zap the skeletons here and free the Mini P.E.K.K.A.
Yeah. Not only was the Royal Giant not being attacked by the tower, but the cannon was even shooting the Royal Giant just because it was out of range, and then the Mini P.E.K.K.A. walked in front of it.
Interesting choice there to fireball the Princess instead of the Elixir Collector. I assume that Raintown is realizing that with only Zap and Fireball in the deck, the only way to kill Princess is Fireball, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want multiple Princesses getting built up, or else you're in big trouble.
Yep.
So.
And there we have the classic Cannon Zap combination to take down a very popular Hog Cycle combination of Hog Rider Goblin.
3 collectors.
Yep.
Interlol's living the dream right now.
Yep. We are cycling. He's in the Tour de France right now. Princess. Now this is a good opportunity to fireball all 3 of that, but he didn't have it in hand.
Didn't have it in hand. It cycled it. Yeah. See, one of the big advantages of these cycle decks is how fast you can get back to your. You can play a card, they play a counter, but then you can get back to your card before they can get back to their counter.
Look at that. He has 2 princes. He's just putting out cards back to back to back. And
it's funny because now I bet you Raintown regrets using the Fireball on the Hog minions. He zapped them, zapped the minions, and then fireballed them after. That's a lot of Elixir that didn't quite work out for him.
Oh no, oh no, the princesses are going ham. And this is really interesting because now the princess is actually destroying the cannon to pave way for the Hog Rider to do a lot of damage. I like that synergy a lot. Mini P.E.K.K.A. in the back, and we're going into overtime quite soon, but I feel like Interlol is doing exactly what we said. The Elixir Collectors, I think, are really, really coming in big for him, and there doesn't seem to be a big way for Raintown to manage that when he has to worry about the princesses all the time. And there we go, that's a good
That's
fireball.
A great fireball. That is that's a 4 Elixir fireball that took 7 Elixir off the board.
Nice. Perfect. And got that tower damage in. Hog Rider onto the cannon, but look how great that defense is. Just the cannon and the zap.
And what's funny is that Cannon's got plenty of health. Like, I don't think 8% less cannon health is going to be the difference between that Hog Rider ruining your board or not. You know what I mean? And I didn't like that placement of the Princess. That Princess should have been on the left side, outside the tower, instead of inside. He's already seen that Elixir Collector plus Princess will get fireballed, so why would you put it right there?
Yeah.
You know? Why would you set it up like that?
Why would you give him that again? And now you can see Interlol is having to spend time to rebuild his Elixir Collector factory, so to speak.
I actually still believe in Raintown in this game, because if you look, even though Interlol's done a lot more damage, it's been split between the towers. We're in overtime right now, so all it takes is 1 dead tower to win. And if you look, Raintown's got that thing down to the same health as his right tower.
And really, this is one of the big things that I say every single week I cast a Super Magical Cup, Ramham, is when you play in friendly battles, it's super important to be on point with your fireballs, constantly pinging away at the towers, because at 3-minute overtime, that damage adds up. And oh my god!
Oh, Mini P.E.K.K.A. is so good, but at the same time, I don't believe Interlol's deck has Fireball, just has the Zap. So the downside is...
no!
Oh no, is he going to be able to stop that Royal Giant? Oh, the cannon comes in. Okay, so this time was a much better cannon placement because the tower is attacking along with the Mini P.E.K.K.A. and the cannon.
Execution is getting sloppy on both sides. Raintown placed the bad cannon on the Hog Jump and allowed the right side tower to take a lot of damage. And meanwhile, Interlol let the Mini P.E.K.K.A. from Raintown get up front and personal.
Oh, skeletons got shot. They weren't fast enough.
Oh no.
But he doesn't take any damage from the Princess there.
This is a big play.
The Mini P.E.K.K.A. They're only 1 shot.
No!
Oh, that's it. Mini P.E.K.K.A. takes it home. In the end, I think Raintown might have actually outplayed Interlol there in a lot of ways. But when your opponent has 8 to 10 more Elixir than you over the course of the game, that really adds up.
Yeah.
Naturally, just on time collection, you only get about 90, 95 Elixir throughout the course of a game. So having an extra 10 Elixir is huge. That's a massive advantage.
Yeah. Yeah.
that allows you to push through some of those wins. But
Yeah.
great game, Interlaw. I really like how he stuck to the Elixir Collector plan. I really like how Raintown was actually pretty good on defense, other than a few missteps like that Zap then Fireball, which really did add up to a lot of damage on him. I think otherwise he played a pretty smart defense, given that he was behind pretty much the entire game in Elixir.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely agree. And I think with this game, it's really interesting because we're really seeing the effects of people playing Fireball Zap instead of some kind of combination with arrows, right? Once we come up against Elixir Collector Princess, you really have to start thinking about, what are you going to do against the Princess now? What are you going to do against the Elixir Collector? We really have to analyze the cost benefit of that. So, interesting. Interlol versus Raintown. We'll see how they play out in the brackets in just a little bit. But in the group play, we're just going to go ahead and jump into the matches as we see them. We have Patriots 34 versus Masiawa.
I called it Makawa last week. I don't know if that's right. I was saying Makawa the whole time.
One day we'll probably ask him.
In chat, you can let us know how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
On your Facebook, you can set your name.
Yeah.
Set your pronunciation.
Let's take a look at what decks these players are running. Patriots going to be running a Hog Cycle deck with Barbarians as his defense alongside Cannon, Goblins, Zap. Fairly standard, I would say. A standard mix of cards in the meta. Just a good Hog Cycle core deck. What is Maikawa running?
Makawa is running the triangle trifecta defense deck that is probably the most popular deck at the top of the ladder right now. It relies on Valkyrie, Musketeer, and Hog Rider. It's not like Patriots deck is much more of a Hog Cycle deck. You're going to see Hog Rider plus Goblins just cast aggressively all the time.
Yep.
What I would look for out of Makawa's deck is casting Elixir Collector and being very defensive. What's going to happen is when the Hog Rider pushes come in from Patriots, Makawa's going to drop Cannon, Musketeer, and Valkyrie, some combination of those cards along with Skeleton to defend, and then only when the attack has been stopped and those cards are starting to counterattack will the Hog Rider come out from Makawa. So it'll be interesting to see how Patriots can handle the attack and then defending against this subsequent counterattack.
So Rumham, who do you think has the upper hand in this matchup?
I was super impressed with Makawa's play last week. I actually think that the Triangle Defense deck is a better deck than Hog Cycle because it has the ability to defend and counterattack so well. I'm pretty confident. I like Makawa's chances. And I love Poison, man. Poison showed itself last week. If there's any storyline from last week, it's that Poison is incredible and should be in most decks.
Yeah. I want to go with Patriots, but I would have to agree. Just the fact, I think that Poison is a real big difference maker here. It's very hard to justify. I mean, a Hog Cycle deck relies on so many cheap cards. Spear Goblins, Minions, and even the Barbarians to some degree are just going to get chewed apart by that spell. So let's go ahead and take a look at and see if that is the case. Patriots versus Makawa. Oh, goodness. Patriots versus Makawa, and he was a very, very skilled player and demonstrated skills in the last tournament. Let's see if he can replicate that success. All right. Early Hog Rider, kind of.
Yep, exactly what we said. He opened with it. He's coming out with it. So we got the Cannon, Skeletons, good little cheap combo.
There we go. Skeletons.
Musketeer to clean up. No damage taken on the tower.
Yep.
He spent more, though. I mean, he spent 8 Elixir to Patriot 6, which is why Patriot has a little bit of an advantage right now. Here comes Barbs.
I think the, and that obviously is an instant kill.
It's going to be a Valkyrie from Makawa right in front of the tower.
Let's see. You might want to get the Spear Goblins, too.
Yeah, I like that the Valkyrie was able to chop those things up. But you can just see, even though that the Valkyrie died shortly after, I don't know if he even needed to zap. He probably could have just taken that damage. Like, there's only going to be a couple hundred damage from those things.
I mean, the way you have to think about it is Makawa did that and gained an Elixir Collector. I think you would be more than fine taking that tower damage and continuing your Elixir advantage. Oh, no!
Poor Elixir.
Oh, God. That one small misstep with a cannon placement, I think, cost Makawa maybe a whole minute of kind of momentum.
Well, he's got another collector in his hand, but I agree he could have had a collector and then like another half health collector.
Yeah.
So at least it wasn't like he was left without one for a while.
Yep.
And I like that when he cast the collector, Patriots actually didn't have a good push through. He just played the Hog Rider. There you go.
Yep.
Valkyrie on defense. We got the counterattack with the Hog Rider.
Oh.
Trying his luck. I like that the Zap was able to take out the Goblin stuff, and the Hog Rider's going to get him, what, one attack maybe? Great counterattack, though, using the minions on defense and then having them in the subsequent counterattack.
Counter push, and it might do a lot of damage. Minions just on the tower.
I'm like that he's just taking it. I mean, I like that Makawa is being very disciplined and just being willing to take small chunks of damage. If you have a 2,500 health tower, going to 2,100 is not the difference in the game. Not this early on.
Yeah. And I mean, it could be much worse. If that minion had not been shot by the tower on the left side, I think he would have taken much more.
I think Makawa can say pretty confidently at this point, too, that there's not a
goodness.
freeze in that deck.
Yeah.
4 for 4, that was great. There's not a freeze, I think we would have seen it by now. And here's why minions have actually become one of the most popular troops in the game. Zap has become probably the most popular spell. In last week's top 8 decks, 7 of them ran Zap. Now, Zap kills goblins, it kills skeletons. We've seen that happen already in this match. Doesn't kill minions, put them low health.
Yeah.
So people use minions a lot on defense in order to defend against these Hog Rider attacks because the Hog Rider's Zap plays don't clear them out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's been the community has just come to a realization that even though Minion Horde is a really great card, just the 3-cost minions is enough to get the job done.
Yeah. Hey, I want to say great defense there by Patriots. We were talking about how much could Patriots respond. He just took a 16 elixir push on the chin. It was, Valkyrie, Musketeer, Hog, and Poison.
Yeah.
And while he did take some damage on his tower, given how much elixir was coming at him,
Oh no!
could've been way more.
Oh no! The Zap won't stop the minions. Oh, look at how much damage they're doing. And again, we're talking about Fireball cycling is going to be super. I would almost just Fireball that Musketeer.
And he will. The Spear Goblins will help finish it. Oh, I like the Valkyrie and Hog there to tank for that low health Musketeer. Musketeer might be low health, but it's still attacking.
Okay, this could be what makes or breaks the game. This push right here, and
Hog Rider gets up there with a lot of health. 1, 2,
I think it might take the tower.
3,
There's no more cards left to play.
4, Makawa!
Oh my God.
At some point, like, it's crazy because Patriots took so many more Hog pushes, but every single one was repelled, and it turns out that 2 16 elixir pushes is not enough.
Yeah.
Patriots maybe actually signed his own death ward there by being a little aggressive with the Fireball. Yeah, he actually needed 3 fireballs because that first one, it was like 500 health, would bring it down to 300. Another one would bring it down to 100, and then you need a third one. So needing 3 fireballs is kind of a lot to start going for fireball cycling. I really like that Makawa was able to take advantage of that by putting the tanks in front and allowing the Musketeer to attack at full health for a much longer period of time. Full damage.
What was interesting to me was that he focused on placing the barbarians to try to protect the cannon as opposed to protecting the tower, as opposed to letting the cannon drop and then body blocking, and also subsequently avoiding the Valkyrie.
Yeah, it's a good point. The Valkyrie chopped. Between Valkyrie and Poison, the barbarians are pretty difficult counterplay.
Yeah, and it was just interesting. I wonder if there was a way he could have edged out just a little bit of remaining tower health.
Let's keep going.
We'll see.
I don't even want to talk about these matches. Let's just watch them chat and keep going, buddy. This is high energy. Whoa, that's a good one. That might be might be a disconnect.
I've been very scared
about accidentally showing a wrong match.
Yeah.
Ooh, this looks. Oh, hey, buddy, this is one of my favorite. These are 2 of my favorite decks going up against each other.
All right, Captain has got a standard Royal Giant Ice Wizard, Elixir Collector, and we were talking about how much you liked Royal Giant with Elixir Collector and how much you didn't really like Royal Giant without it. Captain is running that very deck. What is Coop's
my main ladder pushing deck is an Elixir Collector Royal Giant like Princess, whatever. So I get it. Yeah. But the Golem Poison deck is a very popular deck in the archetype. What you're going to see here, the main things to take away is that Golem is obviously a lot of hit points, a lot of Elixir. What I would expect to see out of Comsey is an Elixir Collector early, and then as cheap of a cycle to get back to a 2nd and 3rd Elixir Collector. So you should expect him, Comsey, to go Elixir Collector and then like skeletons, minions, archers, cannon, right? Like you want to spend 10 Elixir, 11 Elixir as much as possible between your collectors. I don't expect Comsey to go like Collector, Golem, support cards, another, the Golem should not probably show up until the last 90 seconds of the game.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to me because Golem is one of the only cards in the game that is like that just because of that 8 elixir cost. In my eyes, I mean, aside from 3 Musketeers, I think it's probably the highest elixir cost card there is in the game.
Yeah.
And just understanding that you're not really going to actually be playing that Golem card until the latter half of the game is really important.
It doesn't defend itself. It doesn't do any damage, so it's easy to kill. Like anything will kill it. Yeah. But if you have all the supporting stuff and the poison with it,
So who is your choice, Rumham?
I mean, as much as I love Golem Poison decks, you gotta know that I'm rooting for my boy Royal Giant. I'm a Royal Giant man.
All right.
Some call me a Royal Giant.
You are the Royal Giant. I think Koopsy's gonna take this. I think he's gonna defend well with his cannon and poison, and then once that double elixir time hits, he's gonna be able to roll out the golems back to back, and it's gonna be really hard to defend.
Yeah.
So let's take a look and see if we are right about that.
The big bummer for Captain will be that with goblins and minions and Princess not surviving poison, it's actually going to be pretty hard for him to mount an anti-golem defense. It's going to rely very heavily on the mini P.E.K.K.A.
Absolutely. So just as a reminder, the raffle question is, what new card do you most want to try after the June 21st patch? And that just means
I
cards
don't like that at all. Just a naked Royal Giant right off the start. That seems pretty bad.
It got shoot through, no damage on the tower at all.
That's when people say Royal Giant's overpowered. I'm like, look, that's exactly what happens when you cast Royal Giant. For 4 elixir, I guess, he countered it and didn't take any damage, just skeletons and cannon.
Yeah. Skeletons and cannon. Minion saved the day for Captain, was able to clean up the counter push, but Coomsby is going to be pretty happy about that. Any Royal Giant push you can deflect is
already
great.
used the skeletons, weirdly. I mean, I guess you'll get it back, but ideally you want the skeletons in your collector cycle.
Right.
Great placement of the princess. Ooh. So, yeah, between Zap... So the minions aren't going to do anything, but I think that was probably still advantageous for Coomsby to play. These archers will do a little bit of damage. Not a ton, but we'll get a chip shot in.
It's interesting, Coomsby was hovering the Golem, but decided to play the mini P.E.K.K.A. instead, and I think he really wants to get to that double elixir situation after defending this. Poison is going to chew through all these units, and look at how great that defense is. Royal Giant has been having a very hard time getting up to Coomsby's tower.
Last week was the first time since the Royal Giant buff that no Royal Giant decks made our top 8, made the Super Magical Cup top 8 decks.
Yeah.
So I think the people have gotten a lot better at defending against it. They started to learn the keys. I think mini P.E.K.K.A. has been the biggest beneficiary of this. Mini P.E.K.K.A. was not a very commonly played card a few patches ago. It is now one of the most common support cards in decks because it does such high damage to defenseless cards like Hog Rider, Golem, and Royal Giant.
Here we go, and almost exactly the timing you said.
I don't even, why would you, I mean, I get you want a Royal Giant the lane, but I feel like you'd rather Royal Giant as a counterattack as opposed to in response to the Golem. I get it that he's really low elixir right now, but what's going to happen is it's going to be easy for Coomsby to defend, counterattack and stuff, and then once the Royal Giant's dead, look, all this stuff's already behind the Golem. The Golem's already at the river, and you've got your minions, your archers, all this stuff played out.
Fortunately enough, mini P.E.K.K.A. plus the Ice Wizard is enough to really chop down the Golem before it gets to the tower. It's going to get a swing or two, but Coomsby has a lot of ground to cover. We'll put it that way.
To be fair, though, yeah, I'm kind of being a little hard on Captain's choices here. Captain is pushing damage through. Like, it may not be a lot, it may not be super efficient, but he is 1,000 damage closer to winning this match than Coomsby is.
One thing to watch out for is that a Golem push can be fairly one-shot, right? So if one push goes well, it could be the end of Captain's game.
Yeah, you really only have about 2 to 3 chances to throw a Golem on the board, depending on how late it goes. In tournaments, it's a little better because you have a 3-minute overtime.
Yep. And this is interesting because Captain didn't play the mini P.E.K.K.A. His mini P.E.K.K.A. is still in hand, and now it's finally there. Before, on the first Golem push, the mini P.E.K.K.A. was working at the Golem right at the bridge, but this time the mini P.E.K.K.A. gets played in front of the tower, and the Golem actually does a ton of damage. Look at how much that
mini P.E.K.K.A. got killed by something. I'm not sure what. I think he might have got zapped or fireballed or something.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of the archers and
here comes the mini P.E.K.K.A. It's actually not even the Golem anymore.
Oh,
no! Another shot! 2 shots! Oh my god!
Oh no!
We've been seeing mini P.E.K.K.A.s snuck through poison clouds a lot today. Mini P.E.K.K.A. is a shockingly powerful card because it's such a good defender and it's an easily distracted attacker, but it requires them to actually respond to it, and a lot of times people just don't have the cards in hand to do it.
Yeah, and that was actually really interesting to me. The first Golem push was handled quite efficiently because the Ice Wizard plus the mini P.E.K.K.A. at the bridge was just constantly chopping away at the Golem, and by the time the Golem made it across the bridge, it had already split apart. But that second push, I mean, by the time the Golem was at the tower, that was when the mini P.E.K.K.A. was played, and it paved the way for all the archers to do damage, for the mini P.E.K.K.A. to end up sneaking in. So
let's try this one out. Vizard, I think, did pretty well. I think he top 8'd last week. I'm not sure. I remember watching a Vizard match. Parathalon has never been on Super Magical Cup, as far as I can remember, so this will be awesome first match for him. Parathalon's running a triangle defense deck with Inferno instead of Cannon. So that's an interesting change because Inferno Tower is much better against Royal Giant, a little worse against Hog Rider, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how he plays out.
Vizard, meanwhile, is running a deck with the Goblin Hut, which is probably the only real remaining summoner card that you would play.
I'm going to say Goblin Hut is the most underrated card in the game.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful card. It's good in tournament play, yet it's just not seen as much as a lot of the other cards. Yeah. It kind of functions like an elixir collector, what I'd expect to see. So Vizard's really running a minor deck. He's not running a Goblin Hut deck. He's running a minor deck. But what's interesting is that he's got a really cheap cycle, so he's going to be able to continually cycle minors over and over again. But ideally, instead of playing, say, elixir collector, he's going to run Goblin Huts.
Yeah.
If he can get 2 Goblin Huts in the same lane and then cast like minor and knight, those goblins are going to build up really fast and cause a lot of trouble trouble for the tower.
It's kind of like an auto push for himself.
Yeah.
You know, like once you have the 2 huts down, you send the miner up, and then now the miner's tanking for the goblin hut, and then if you have a knight in front of it too, then they start accumulating, and then
Ice Wizard. Ice Wizard's a great tank.
Yeah. So let's see how this game plays out. Let's see. Parathlon versus Vizard. Let's go ahead and jump into the game here. So remember, !raffle, and then answer the question, what new card after the June 21st patch do you most want to play and why? Make sure you include the reason why. Just including a card won't win you the gems, Rumham. So please don't do that.
And you got to be following.
Yep.
We're gonna give you $10. The least you can do is click a button.
Yep. Please. Thank you.
So Miner comes in. Now, interesting placement by Parathlon. Parathlon did a really smart thing by playing his Elixir Collector in the middle. When you play it in the back corners, it's easy for Miner to get there because only one tower attacks it.
Yeah.
When you play Elixir Collector in the middle, Miner gets shot by both towers.
Yeah.
Miner, if you've never seen it before, is a legendary that comes out in Arena 6. It is kind of like a knight, like a little bit of a weaker knight, but it can be cast anywhere on the board. So people use Miner often to go harass buildings that are hiding behind the front lines. They're good at killing princesses that are hiding, on their side of the board. So far, I've been really impressed with Parathlon's defense. He's really living that triangle defense life, using things like Valkyrie to counter pushes of much more Elixir.
Yeah. But it begins. Vizard is cycling, and Parathlon will defend all he wants, but eventually Vizard is going to build up the goblin huts. The interesting thing is Parathlon, I feel like, needs to make sure that Valkyrie is always on hand so that he can control that spear goblin horde that will inevitably come barreling down the lane.
A good thing for Parathlon that I don't think Vizard knows yet is that he's got poison. Parathlon has poison.
Yeah.
Now, poison stops any number of goblin huts.
Yeah.
You could have 6 goblin huts in a row, and I could poison that whole lane and not have to worry about him anymore. So I'll be interested to see what Parathlon does. Yeah, so he plays the poison right here. What's interesting is that not only the one behind it's pretty much dead and out, but the other one is not only going to take damage on the goblin hut, but all the goblins that come out of it die as well, right?
Oh my goodness, that push was so strong. Hog Rider was the only unit he played, and he supported it with Poison Zap, and look at how much damage he did.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Parathlon's being very aggressive about defending his Elixir Collectors from miners. He's not just letting the Collector die to the miner or the miner just take a bunch of tower damage. He really seems to want to keep a Collector up at all times, even in the face of miner spam.
Yeah, and it's interesting because most of the time when you're struggling to maintain your Collector against a miner, it's very hard to get damage onto your opponent's side of the map, but Parathlon has been managing to do so.
I don't like Vizard's play here. I don't like playing the Goblin Hut on that side. If you look at it...
Oh, he did a Scrazzer.
Very few... I don't think that was... Oh, by hitting the King Tower, you mean?
No, he
his own poison. Yeah, I was gonna say is I actually don't like playing the Goblin Huts on the weaker side. You haven't done that much damage. You've only done like 200, 300 damage to the left side tower. I think Vizard would have been better switching lanes, putting his Goblin Huts on the other side, because then if you're gonna poison the Goblin Huts, you're at least doing it on the wrong side of the board. The problem is right now is he set up a very easy poison for Parathlon. He's gonna counterattack it. Right? You're gonna see a Musketeer on defense. You're gonna see like probably a Valkyrie or whatever. He's gonna poison both those Goblin Huts and then just counterattack, and the poison's gonna do some very valuable damage to the tower.
There it is.
Yeah, like I didn't like Vizard setting up on the side that was already weak.
Yeah, and poison, Valkyrie is really the key things to talk about here. Parathlon has the tools he needs to deal with the Goblin Hut in any amount of numbers, really. So
and again, like he can cast another poison on that Goblin Hut in the back, which he does.
Yep, and he doesn't even mind hitting the King Tower. What's the point?
We're poison cycling at this point. We're not even,
Yeah, he's recognizing that there's no real threat from Vizard just because of how his defense is set up.
Yeah. And Valkyrie continues to impress. It's probably the best card in this deck. It's funny, everyone thinks of it as kind of like a Hog Rider deck. But this deck is really uniquely good at abusing the incredible power of Valkyrie. Valkyrie, as a 4 elixir defensive card with a cannon, can stop so many pushes.
Oh no, the poison! Oh my god!
It's only one more poison. Yeah, 6.
Oh no!
Go ahead and give that a little Zapperino.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
He does
he's got
get a
it in
little
the
zap.
cycle. There it is. Oh, I thought.
I thought he zapped himself too. I was like, what are you doing?
Don't pull his Scrazzer
no.
again. Yeah, it was actually interesting because if you look at the health on the tower right now, Vizard was actually starting to make some headway.
Yeah.
He was starting.
There's that was a good game, and that's a clinic on poison.
Yeah, definitely.
It shows how good poison can be against building heavy decks.
So we'll watch one more match. We'll watch one more match before closing out the raffle. Just as a reminder, the raffle question is, what new cards do you want to play on the June 21st patch and why? !raffle space answer the question. Make sure to follow the stream. So
this is I don't even know what to make of this thing. So, buddy, Zidokas is playing direct damage spells. I mean, that is 4 things that attack a tower.
How
An
does this even
Ice
win?
Wizard. I don't even know, right? Like, I mean, okay, I get it. If you play too many things by your tower and give the direct damage deck a whole lot of good, like, rockets and lightnings and fireballs on your tower, I could see how it wins. But I feel like Sushant should just start, like, even if that happens early, just switch lanes. Like, switch to the other lane and start playing the other one, because eventually that deck is just going to have to, like, rocket cycle you for the win. And in those moments, you can put your big hog pushes down and try to take a tower.
Yep. Just
against a pretty
seize the
standard hog
moment.
cycle deck, right? It's on the other side.
Seize the moment of opportunity.
One
Really, is
one
the key thing.
interesting key here is that there's actually not Zap in Zudokis' deck, so I wonder how well the, like, Goblins, Minion Horde, Princess thing is going to be at overwhelming Zudokis' spells. Like, you can't rocket every single Minion Horde that comes down your way, right? Like,
Yeah. Huh. We'll see. I've never really.
I haven't seen. Yeah, go ahead. I haven't seen a direct damage deck in the Super Magical Cup in forever.
Yeah.
Like, since, like, Super Magical Cup number 2.
Yeah, number 2. Yeah, I agree. Number 2 is kind of left. I think Fly Society was still keeping it strong at number 3, but it largely was replaced with Royal Giant stuff.
So we've got an early, looks like an early hog push here with the Zap setup.
So Sushant probably, I mean, he might have been doing a little bit of scouting, but he probably doesn't really know what he's up against right now.
Yeah,
I would
I am
imagine.
so. I'll be interested to see what happens here, because I feel like things like Inferno Tower aren't even particularly good against Hog Rider. So, like, you know, you have the cannon already, which is nice, but if he can start cycling things like Minion Horde and stuff on you, what are you gonna do?
Whoa, he's just straight gonna
Rocket,
do it.
buddy. Well, the thing is, he knows he doesn't have a Hog Rider. Like, he just played, like, you know, Sushant just played the Hog Rider, so you know there's not gonna be a Hog Rider coming at you. Oh god, this arrows.
Oh goodness, value.
I was gonna get all the skeletons.
Oh, we were talking about that, man.
To be fair, even 3 skeletons
Yeah,
would have stopped
it
that.
would've
That wasn't
stopped
that didn't require 4 skeletons to pull that one off.
But that just goes to show how effective the card is, just in general. I mean, that's the difference between, what, 500 damage on your tower?
I think I might watch Zudo pull some judo here. This might happen. What was that lightning? I mean, 6 elixir to kill a 3 elixir princess seems like not very good, but here we go.
I mean, he has a plethora of spells to use, I
That's
guess,
true. You're never
so.
out of spells. I feel like that cannon could have been placed a little more center, but it ended up not mattering too much. So it's interesting. Sushant's a little bit ahead in elixir, down in tower health, but they're about even. Like, I'm trying to. What could Sushant do?
He's gonna rocket again.
Oh my god! If he rockets, you need to have a push on the board as soon as that rocket goes in the air.
Yep. Archers.
Oh, he opts not to.
He's,
Okay,
he's
he
gonna
didn't.
defend.
Might have protected a little bit. Uh-oh. Actually, that Inferno Tower. So.
Oh, good zap. It's gonna reset
and
the charge. But now he's left only with archers against an Ice Wizard.
And that was what, like 7-9 elixir to what, like 8-9 on defense. So it looks like they're spending roughly the same amount of elixir.
And no tower damage at all.
No tower.
So.
Except for this Ice Wizard chunks a little bit in.
Yep.
I'm so lost.
The arrows.
Now the arrow's much better. I like that more than the lightning. That seems to make sense. Now what happens? Now he should drop Minion Horde, right? Sushant should be throwing the Minion Horde down. Oh, okay. Especially now Fireball's down. Where's the Minion? Okay, Sushant needs to be playing Minion Horde as soon as humanly possible. Like, don't cast any other cards.
It's really... Sushant needs to really be very wary of the elixir count of Sushant.
And the cards, like once you've seen arrows and fire, maybe Sushant's not thinking about it too deeply, not in a bad way, but just being like, oh, I saw arrows and Fireball, no more Minion Horde, right?
Yeah.
But in practice, if those are the only 2 cards he has and he casts them back to back, you have a decent amount of time, especially when the deck's filled with lightnings and rockets and stuff, to get that Minion Horde out. I think it would have been pretty effective.
It's happening, Robert.
He's got it. 19 seconds left. At this point, I don't really see anything that Sushant can do. I mean, this push right here has to win, and it's not going to. Well, yeah, he's about to get lightning to rocketed here in the last bit of overtime. I feel like Sushant could have been a lot more aggressive. Like, Sushant, the game kept getting to a point where both players were waiting until they tick up towards 10. And if you know he's a defensive deck, if you know he's a rocket cycle deck, don't ever let him get towards 10. Like, I think Sushant actually might have been much better off just being like, Hog Rider, 2 goblins, I'm back to 3, mini packet, right? Like, just non-stop casting things to never let Sushant actually get up to 5 elixir and be like, oh, I have all these options now and all these cards in my hand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you.
Direct damage deck, wow.
I can't. It won.
It won, buddy.
It won.
I'm not dishing it.
All right, let's go ahead and close out the raffle. So I'm gonna close this out and draw the.
Draw him. I'll be right back.
Drinking
too much water.
We're gonna draw. Our first winner is gonna be Lekim. He says Lava Hound because of the damage buff. And it's definitely getting a good amount of damage increase, but we'll see. As Rumham said, and I definitely agree, it's going to be, I mean, it's not too significant just because the Lava Hound itself doesn't do too much damage. Really, you're looking for the pups to do the damage as opposed to the actual Lava Hound. So, interesting, but definitely a good choice. Definitely a card that you would want to experiment more with after the patch. So, thank you, Lekim. And make sure to check your Twitch inbox if you win the raffle, because we will send messages to your Twitch inbox. If it's not there, make sure you check the others tab to continue this process to allow us to fulfill your pricing. And remember that the giveaways, if you are a Apple Store user, then we can only fulfill your pricing if you're in the United States. If you use Google Play, then we can do it internationally, but just for Apple, only the United States. So. Next winner is gonna be it's Justico Pekka, because I can play Peck's Double Prince again. And that's one of the big things that we were talking about, is this return of the Pekka Double Prince deck. And I think it's definitely something to experiment with and consider, especially because the overall strength of that deck is increasing. Interesting that the Prince and the Pekka got a damage buff, but the Dark Prince is still the same. So we'll see how that works. Thank you. It's Justico. Make sure you follow the channel. And the last winner for this question is going to be Matt Palm Q. And he says, crossbow, making people rage will be fun. And that's definitely one of the highlights of running a deck like that, making people rage and tilting them. I could make a joke about the card Rage, and you could probably use that too. If you Rage Matt Palm Q with your crossbow, I would feel the happiest about that if you run a crossbow Rage deck. So those are the 3 winners for our first giveaway question. We have much more to come. We have 4 more giveaways to come, 4 more questions for you guys to answer and win gems, buckets of gems, to be fair. So with that, I'm going to be resetting this raffle, and we're going to be starting the next question immediately. And the next question is going to be raffle space. Which top 16 player do you think will win the Invitational, and why? Which top 16 player do you think will win the Invitational, and why? And any kind of reason will suffice. Anything from like Clark Kent because I like the style he plays, or Woody because I love siege decks, or Manufan because I really like that he really popularized the minor minion horde mini P.E.K.K.A deck. You know, any reason you want to give. Which top 16 player do you think will win the Invitational, and why? And the raffle is now open, so go ahead and raffle space answer your question. So Rumham is back with us, and we will go back into the group stage for more games. We've watched quite a few interesting ones. Let's find another one.
I kind of would like to jump to Group D if we want to.
Sure. Let's do it.
Group D, they got some cool matches. We've got Pompeo and Clyde have seemed to go pretty deep in the tournament. I'd like to see Clyde repeat a top 8 performance from last week. Pompeo is certainly one of the more well-regarded players in the community. So hopefully we can see some matches between these fine folks.
Let's look. I really want to see a Pompeo game, so
I've heard.
I'm going
not
straight.
that not that one. He's already actually. The next round should be starting. Yeah, so we could probably catch those ones when they're done. Let's watch what else we got in this.
Want to watch some? We can watch Clyde.
Oh, perfect.
Cool. Let's take a look at this Merto 74.
Sparky.
Oh my God! Every time
people love Sparky.
Every single time from him. Every time I see Sparky, I want it to win. My choice is Murdo.
I go for it. I mean, Sparky's a really fun card. I remember when the new patch came out and I was doing a stream previewing the new cards. I said I've never been in love with the machine before, but I'm in love with Sparky. And after kind of a month of playing it, you know, maybe it could have used a buff in the last match. Here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing I should think. I think Sparky is terrible because Zap is so common, and Zap totally resets its very long attack speed. But in this case, Clyde does not have any Zap, so I could really see the Sparky doing a lot of damage. It's really going to come down to how well can Clyde use his skeletons to block those big shots. Maybe the Giant.
Meanwhile, take a look at the deck Clyde is running. Giant, Poison, Mini P.E.K.K.A. It's kind of an interesting deck.
Great beatdown deck. Poison has really enabled a lot of beatdown decks like this. So you can play Giant back behind your King Tower. When it comes time to attack, dropping the Poison on their tower and in front of it makes it very hard for them to defend with like archers, spear goblins, minions, goblins, skeletons, like all the really common cheap cards that you would be like, oh, he's got a 5-cost card, I'm going to beat it with a 2 or 3-cost card. You can't do it anymore because poison's there.
Yeah.
While also slowing down the tower damage, really.
Yeah. And the other thing that I want to mention about poison that I just really like is that kind of inevitable damage that you get, right? Every time you drop poison, any units they play into is just extra benefit for you, you know? And you're always going to do damage to the tower, so I really like that, especially in friendly battles with the 3-minute overtime. It's super important to have a card that does that.
It's one of the reasons that barbarians aren't very good against like the triangle defense decks is because they usually drop Valkyrie and then they counterattack with like Valkyrie, Poison, Hog Rider, or like you want to play barbarians into the Hog Rider, but not into the Poison Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Playing Sparky very far back on defense. The idea is that from the moment Sparky is cast, it starts to charge up. So putting it in the back corner allows it to kind of roll up slowly and get built up. So hopefully the first time something comes into its range, it just shoots it. It's probably already charged up, so the first thing played in front of it will get shot, which is why Clyde is doing the minions there to try to chip it away. But there they go. Here comes skeletons. Let's see how this goes.
Skeletons and the tower's in aggro.
Doink. Oh yeah,
nice.
done, Sparky. Sorry, 1 for 6. Go home.
Now imagine if there were only 3 skeletons.
It would still die. That thing would still die.
Yep, it would still happen.
That's when people were like, oh, they nerfed skeletons. They're totally useless now. And I'm like, they didn't make it spawn 0 skeletons. I mean,
could you imagine?
Still fine, yeah. Like,
1 elixir, you get nothing.
Look how quickly these barbarians. So 2 attacks,
Oh
3 attacks, and then the barbarians take it down. So honestly,
I like the idea of putting the bomber behind the Royal Giant, but dang, those barbarians chew through the Royal Giant.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I get it. Like I think that wasn't a bad play. But if you look at it here, Mirto just spent 9 elixir, right? A Royal Giant plus the bomber, and only did 3 Royal Giant shots, like 500 damage worth. So I don't think 9 elixir is worth 500 damage. The opponent went 5, right?
Yeah.
4 elixir, 500 damage. Not a great trade.
Oh no, poison is just so good against. God, spear guns are almost just non-existent on the board when poison is available.
You can't play them. Yeah. That one minion though is actually going to kill that entire.
He has no anti-air in his deck.
The spear goblins are all the way down there, Mirto.
He has to play at least 3 elixir. He has to play 5 elixir to kill that one tiny health minion.
Yeah. Those fire spirits didn't splash big enough. That was the problem.
Yeah.
So here's interesting though is that we're kind of teasing around, but neither side have actually done a lot of damage. Both players are playing exceptional defense. Clyde and Mirto are doing really good at stopping these kind of intimidating pushes, like Giant, Royal Giant, Sparky are like not cards you play around with, but it's crazy how very few of them are actually getting damage onto the tower. This bomber will do a little bit.
The key difference here is that Clyde has been constantly poisoning Mirto's elixir collector, and now Clyde is 2 elixir collectors up, and this poison is going to diminish Mirto's only elixir collector on the field. And Clyde is going to be feeling really, really good right now.
That's one of the... Oh, no. The two of those things actually ended up jumping on the Giant and not the Barbarians.
That is not good. And Fire Spirits are actually a great card to play against Barbarians. I would even venture to say much better than something like a Fireball.
Yeah. I like how they're mixing up their lines of play now. I think that's a good change of pace. But I think Mirto realized that if he continues just to play Sparky and Elixir Collector behind that tower and get it poisoned, he's eventually going to lose. So I like that he switched the cards he's playing up a little bit. Downsides, that's too long, too many seconds. Too many seconds, you got to charge up. It will blow it all up, but at what cost? Yeah, oh no. Good job, Clyde. Sparky, it's just underwhelming. Like I don't know what else to say about it. It's one of those cards where if you totally fail at defending against it, it's the most powerful card in the game. But at this level of play against players like Clyde, they're never going to fumble and fail that badly. Like no one's ever just gonna like, oh no, a Sparky, I better just play Barbarians directly in front of it and get them blinked. Like no one's gonna do that in the Super Magical Cup. So
you're right.
I want to like the card. It's cute. The thing is if they made Zap not reset its entire charge, it might be too good. So I don't know. It's one of those cards. But at the same time, we just saw a deck without Zap completely manhandle a Sparky.
Yeah, so. It's an interesting question. Well, we'll think about that. We'll keep the. I want to think about ways to make Sparky successful, just because I really want to see it be useful. But we're moving on. Finally, I get to see the legendary, the one and only, Pompeo versus Devansh. And is Devansh a familiar name for
Devansh is in every Super Magical Cup every week. Usually makes it to the 3rd or 4th round. Makes it deep into the tournament because he's usually in these featured group play matches. I don't believe he's ever made a top 8 before though.
Yeah.
Pompeo is kind of famous right now in the community for his Lava Hound fandom. He is a Lava Hound proponent. This is probably the most popular Lava Hound list you'll see around. Sometimes it's Inferno, sometimes it's Canon, but heavily based on the work that Pompeo's done to popularize this archetype.
Yes. So he's going to be playing his classic, you could say. The classic. So Devansh.
And at this point, every single legendary has been represented at least once in the tournament.
Nice.
This will be the first. Lava Hound was the only one we haven't seen so far. So
We did it.
congratulations, Sparky and Lava Hound.
We did it. The gems are falling out of their pockets.
The nice part about tournament play,
me a
though, is you
legendary.
only need one legendary to play it at tournament
Yeah.
cap. So
Yeah.
I actually like that even players who are completely free to play are able to use their legendaries in tournament play without having to worry about leveling them up. I think that's
Absolutely. I agree. So, just as a reminder, as we're getting into this game, the raffle question is, which top 16 player do you want to see, do you think will win the Invitational, and why do you think so? So that is the current raffle question, as we're getting into Devansh Doshi versus Pompeo. He's number 4. I wonder why.
great. Way too many Pompeys in the game, so tough. No, I like that Ice Wizard right there is actually going to... Wow. Ooh.
Oh,
that
my
was actually
goodness.
pretty good. I mean, that was actually exceptional defense by Pompeo. He only cast, minions and goblins, and that held off a whole lot more stuff. He's way ahead in Elixir. Isn't taking that much damage on the... I mean, actually took
Yeah.
significant,
It's
but not a
pretty
ton,
good.
right? And was able to get a Collector out. If that had gone in a different order, like he had played a Collector and then held off a push and
Yeah.
ended up with 1,700 damage, I think he'd probably still be happy about it.
Yeah. I agree.
Devansh wondering what to do. Now, what's interesting is that Devansh is actually in a good position. That Inferno Tower is going to be very good against the Lava Hound. Most decks are not playing Inferno Tower.
Yeah.
So I feel like Pompeo is one of those things where he's not, he's probably used to going around cannons and other kind of weako cards like that.
Yeah.
And to have to deal with an Inferno Tower would be interesting to see how he handles it.
Nice. Okay.
Fireball in his Princess, not letting it happen.
Yep.
Interesting thing in the deck is that there's no poison.
Oh, no!
Wow, he's going to try and blow up all that stuff.
Oh,
no!
Oh, it's going so
And
wrong.
there you go, Devansh. Yeah,
Oh,
that's how the
no.
Lava Hound gets there. Pompeo does a little and one trickery to get it under there. And now
the
look at that
mini-
low health mini
oh my
P.E.K.K.A.
God.
No, the mini P.E.K.K.A. is still going. Oh, he gets zapped out, but I don't think... Actually, you know what? Managed to save the tower, but...
That.
Excellent push. I really like those minions at the river. They're right above the bridge so that when they crossed over, the Inferno Tower that got played started shooting the minions
Yeah.
instead of the big Lava Hound, which was
Tagged
smartly
onto
played
minions,
in the back corner.
Yeah, tagged onto a second minion, zapped, and then mini P.E.K.K.A. took it down. And then Devansh
Come on,
played...
Devansh, take that fireball.
Nice.
Nice, that's a good one.
Perfectly done. And he caught it just at the right time. He was ready for it. I mean, oftentimes, if you let the princess walk away too
hard to
too
get
quick,
both,
Yeah. Okay, so he's trying to punish for the... Oh.
I don't like, so, I mean, I get why Pompeo did, but this is part of the reason why I personally don't like Inferno Tower that much, is, wow, again, he did the minions. He's so good at timing those at the exact right moment
Yeah.
to avoid that Inferno Tower. How is he continually getting Lava Hounds all the way to a tower without an Inferno Tower touching it? It's still alive!
Yeah, I would almost say that the priority for Devansh should actually be playing the Inferno Tower on the left side, just to make sure that the Lava Hound gets targeted.
What do you care about the right lane? You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly.
You'd almost be fine playing it behind the tower in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
just to guarantee it could lock on. Because it's not like it does a lot of damage to the tower. You're not worried about the Lava Hound killing the tower.
Yeah, exactly.
And you already have things like Fire Spirits to cheaply blow up the pups when they...
And as we saw in that push for Pompeo, the real danger is when you let the goblins, the mini P.E.K.K.A. get up to the tower while the Lava Hound is just tanking everything.
Lava
That's
Hound
the real
doesn't do much
danger.
on its own.
Yeah.
And now with this Inferno Tower gone, he's free to play his Lava Hound back. But doesn't matter, match is over. I was impressed. I mean, I
Yeah.
was really, really impressed by the placement of the minions and Pompeo's way of avoiding the Inferno Tower at all costs.
Yeah.
You could tell, very skilled Lava Hound player.
Measured execution, I feel like,
Yeah.
is the best way. He just knew exactly what he wanted to do against the Inferno Tower, and that's, I think, one of the big things for players on the ladder when they meet these defensive structures, is that they don't really have in mind a strategy or something they want to execute.
You know what's crazy is actually looking at the bracket, Pompeo and Clyde are a match that's about to start soon,
We
and
should
the
watch.
winner of the two will make the top 8.
Yeah.
We're in the top
We should
16 right
watch
now.
that.
Let's check the bracket real quick and just see how people are doing. So let's go back to the top of the leaderboard.
Oh, interesting.
Let's see. Doot. Is that
Inner.
Zodi? Is this like a name I've recognized? I feel like I recognize this name. Interlol pushes over
doing
through
well.
Makawa, moves a little further into it. Naders, his top 8 performer, is also pushed into the top 32. Jeff overcomes Vizard and moves into the top 32 as well down here. Who else? Any upsets early on? Clark Kent gets upset in the first round by somebody who ends up going out in the next round. Very interesting. Brian, so we got to keep an eye on Brian RT because he is beating the people who are doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Who else in the top 32? Idaho
Oh,
makes
wow.
Scrazzer gets eliminated by Iams. Iams is a regular competitor that I see every week. Iams has also beaten Alucard and Baron Shadow. Iams has beaten at least some pretty solid competitors along the way.
Yeah, that's a pretty hard path.
So Iams wins over Ido. That'll be his first top. I believe that's Iams' first top 8 ever. Ruination, push through, defeats Anzarox along the way. Yarn beaten the first round by Annie the Beast, who is Annie the Best, and who is still actually in the game. So
nice.
Woody. Buddy, you know I want to see another top 8 out of Woody.
Yep.
The real J-Zig. Yeah, that's cool. Pompeii, here we go. Let's get back into the matches. Let's see if we can catch, hopefully, maybe we can even live spectate game 1 of the Clyde Pompeo match. That's a big game right there. Top 16 round easily could have been a top 8 matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we shouldn't miss that. Definitely. Clyde
what do you think's going to win? What kind of deck do you think's going to win?
Oh, man. I mean, the Lava Hound execution was really, really good. I feel like it was super interesting that even though Devansh had the Inferno Tower, he still could not stop the Lava Hound.
I'm surprised that Lava Hound decks don't play Poison more often. Because for every reason that Golem Poison is good, Lava Hound Poison is good too, right?
Yeah.
You can actually take Juan's Golem deck that won last week, play it card for card, and then just switch out Lava Hound for Golem, and it plays pretty effectively.
Let's watch this game. Yeah, let's watch a game while we wait. It's going to be Ethos versus Geralt de Rivia. And what's interesting to me is that this person is playing in the future. They're using the Witch Archer.
Yeah, it's like almost like this person didn't get the note that witches and guards gotta wait for next week. I'm excited to see this match. I mean, I really like guards. Guards are actually a pretty good defensive troop right now. Their biggest weakness is that they don't counterattack very well. Yeah. But when you have Miner to tank for them and Giant to tank for them, they could probably be a very effective card. Same deal with Witch. Like Witch is again another card that's great at defending. The problem is they drop a Valkyrie on her head when she crosses the river and she dies then, right? But I could see that Giant Witch or Miner Witch, Miner Guard to be a pretty interesting combination.
Yeah. So, let's go ahead and quickly watch this, and then we'll catch the
Miner Mirror match. That's something we haven't seen a ton of.
All right, here we go.
Geralt de Rivia.
That's an epic name.
I like Ethos, so I'm gonna take. I like guards. I like Witch. I personally like those cards. I'm gonna root for Ethos to take this one home because I want to see the man playing in the future. The messenger from the future to show us what's good. I think this actually might be the first time we've seen guards in a featured match. I think we might have seen them right after they came out, like one Super Magical Cup, but it's been a long time since guards have shown up.
Ooh.
Interesting. The Witch turns around and the Skeleton to fight the Miner. I feel like that really hurt the Miner's damage output.
Yeah. I mean, we all know how good skeletons in general are against Miners.
Interesting to see how good those cards are against cannons and stuff. Like that cannon was just kind of wasting its time shooting on those cards a bunch.
1, 2.
I didn't quite tie it up. But close enough. I'd say both of their initial pushes went out about equal, except Ethos is now way ahead in Elixir.
Yeah.
I feel like Geralt's push didn't do that much damage, but he spent a lot more Elixir on it.
Yeah. Actually, curious question. If you play archers just in the face of the princess, they'll win, right?
Yeah. They'll win. Spear Goblins don't.
I wonder if it would have just been worth it for Ethos
to not take the damage. Yeah.
Not take the damage.
Wow.
Oh my god.
That is a defensive poison, so it's actually killing all that stuff. But again, poison takes time. It's not an instant thing. Yeah. And those minions are able to take what 2 to 3 swings apiece times 3 minions. Just like that, Geralt takes a huge lead.
Minions do a lot of damage. Never underestimate the amount of damage minions will do because they will wreck your tower.
Yeah.
Even just 2 of them.
Here comes the Witch. Let's see what he's going to support the Witch with. He's okay, it's going to be a Giant Witch push. Will be interesting to see. Oh, I like the Miner split pushing because it forces him to decide, like, all right, am I going to play more Elixir? I've just spent 5 on the left. Am I going to spend more than 5 now?
Yeah.
I guess not. He's just going to let the Miner completely destroy his Elixir collector and keep the push going.
So that's an interesting interaction that we saw there. Minion Horde was played on top of the Witch, and we were talking about how great the Witch would be against the Minion Horde eventually, but the splash damage that the Witch did, they were hitting the first side of the Minion Horde, but the back end was able to take down the Witch, so...
That will still be a good counter even after the update. Like, that's going to be... If you need to counter Witch with Minion Horde, the way is going to be drop it on the head.
Yeah.
What'll be nice, though, is if you play Minion Horde coming at a tower, you can play Witch on defense, and she's going to clean them up very, very, very
absolutely.
quickly.
Which
and if you
great.
play him on top of something like the Giant, the Witch will still hit all of them, you know?
Yeah.
You really have to center it on top.
Yep. Nice.
Doink. I like the tanking here.
The animation was really fun to me, I don't know.
One of the yeah, it's funny because if he zapped there, yes, I was saying the zap might actually let it work out.
Nice.
Ethos, don't leak any elixir, buddy. We're late. So, Ops did not play Elixir Collector because the game is so close to over at this point that it doesn't really feel like he wants a full health.
Yeah.
Which actually kind of, now that I'm looking at it, Geralt's played as Elixir Collector with only like 40 seconds left in the game. I don't know, that might come back to bite him.
Yeah, it's very possible. Minion Horde on defense again, but this time the Witch is in a great position.
And it's
and
zapped already.
might be
Look at
able
it
to
go.
choose through everything.
Whoom.
Oh my god!
I'm telling you, Witch is a great defensive card.
Nice.
So what I like here, by the way, this is an interaction we're probably not going to see right here because of the princess, but sometimes the tower locks onto the Witch first, the skeletons get spawned after, and the
then
Witch
they do
actually
a thing.
tanks for a pretty good amount of skeleton shots. It's pretty good. Oh yeah, I think actually between this poison killing the princess and slowing everything down, I think this game might be wrapped up soon here by Ethos. I think he can just zap it for the win.
He's gonna do Minor in the zap.
Minor, okay, yeah.
That's gonna close it. Nice. The Witch.
17% more damage.
The Witch was 2-shotting Spear Goblins. Does it change it to a 1-shot, or will it just still be a 2-shot actually? Witch against Spear Goblins. It was something.
It'll probably still be a 2-shot.
Yeah,
It'll probably
I think
be a 2-hit
it'll like
still.
get really close and then have to.
I think goblins might go down to a 2-hit instead of a 3-hit or something. I think it was like Spear Goblins would get 2-hit, Goblins would get 3-hit. I don't know if that changes.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. Oh, okay.
So we got game 1 of Pompeo Clyde.
So before hopping into this game, I just want to remind you guys the raffle is open for the second question. The question is, which top 16 player do you think will win the Invitational and why? Make sure to provide us a reason, exclamation mark, and then answer that question. But enough about that.
And we're reaching the end of group play. So if you're tuning in and watching now, we watch random matches throughout group play, and then when we get to the top 8, we watch every match in the top 8, and we live spectate the entire top 4. So this is actually, we don't have the bracket up right now, but this is a round of 16 game. This is the last round of group play. The winner of this match, this is game 1 of their best of 3 match, will make the top 8. So we're got the top 8 starting in probably about 30 minutes or so, I want to say.
Yeah.
Pretty soon.
Let's take a look at Pompeo. He's running the same deck that he was running that worked very, very well against Devanche. It's going to be that Lava Hound deck. Meanwhile, Clyde is running the beatdown deck with that giant poison mini P.E.K.K.A kind of the mini P.E.K.K.A in the smoke.
This is going to be interesting because Clyde has exactly 1 card that attacks air, right? And it's minions. And those things die pretty bad, zap, princess, other minions, etc. So how can Clyde defend against Lava Hound with only poison, arrows, and elixir collector?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting.
We will see. We will see. And I mean, here's something to note. Clyde is no pushover, right? He is a very, very strong player.
I underrated him last week. When I was watching his games, like, what are you doing? Why are you playing like this, Clyde? And then he would win his games. So clearly thinking on another level than what I was thinking when I watched the game. So I will not underrate Clyde. But I'm going to go with Pompeo because, I don't actually know how Clyde's deck will stop. Like, if Mini P.E.K.K.A was Musketeer, totally different deck. Like, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, there's an easy way to deal with it. It's, whatever.
Oh, interesting. Hey, Skeleton Elixir Collector, he's getting started early. He really wants to play
And actually, those
macro.
skeletons did a great job at stopping the goblins. Like, it was even a good.
Arrow
It
down
wasn't
the
like he
princess.
just threw the elixir on the ground. He actually got some value out of it.
Yeah. And the thing is, you see an Elixir deficit for Clyde right now, but the next tick of the Elixir Collector will bring them even again.
Yeah.
So Clyde is feeling really good right now. Interesting that he's going to play the giant into the minions and lose health on it. Okay, Inferno Tower is now revealed, so Clyde is probably going to have to change his line of play just a little bit.
Yeah, you can't just drop the golem or the giant by itself up by the river. You're going to get chewed up.
Much in a similar way, in the last match we saw with Pompeo, how he was playing the minions to protect his Lava Hound, Clyde is going to have to start thinking about what he wants to do. Hey, maybe Skeletons is the option, maybe it's minions. We'll see. Double Elixir Collector now, and Clyde has poisoned Pompeo's own Elixir Collector, so Clyde is really playing to that Elixir advantage. Pompeo's answer is to Lava Hound early. 1 minute 47, he's got his first Lava Hound down.
It'll be interesting to see if we get a second Lava Hound out. So, for example, if he casts a bunch of cheap cards, like Zap and Goblins next, and then drops another Lava Hound behind the first one to double Lava Hound.
Yeah.
That's it, like Golem decks, that tends to be one of the main things you do with.
That giant is actually doing a lot of damage. The Princess and the Minion don't quite do enough DPS to make it to extinguish the giant very fast, but Lava Pups on the left side, and they're
great timing, Clyde, on the skeletons. It's very easy to mess that up and have the skeletons get shot by the princess.
Yep. And also make it so that the skeletons push the princess back and the princess shoots the skeletons anyways.
Pretty impressed so far. Pompeo did on the last Lava Hound, for example. Those 3 minions did like all of the work on it. It didn't ever. He was using his princess to defend against barbarians and other things like the giant, and he didn't actually have them there to clean up. Again, he's using the minions there, and he's not going to have the minions or whatever to clean up on what's killing his Lava Hound.
And we were just talking about this giant gets tagged on by the Inferno Tower, and it gets evaporated by the time it gets. And Clyde has been he's been using his poison aggressively, so the elixir
Forgot about it.
collectors.
He hasn't done it now. They both actually have double collectors out
Yeah.
now.
And
Ooh. That's a pretty sizable push. And again, I love the Giants with the poison. That's actually even going to slow down the Inferno Tower ticking up. The Inferno Tower's not going to heat up as fast.
interesting
Zap,
that Clyde
zap?
played
Like
his minions way in the back instead of at the bridge to start the DPS very soon. Here comes the mini P.E.K.K.A. It's very dangerous. He needs to play Skeleton. Perfect. But the tower and the minions are all locked into the Lava Hound.
It's looking really bad because with
Oh
only 11
no!
seconds left.
The poison!
Yes, with only 11 seconds left, that poison's going to finish that tower off, and Clyde, there's no way. So, wow. I mean, I was really skeptical. Excellent work by Clyde to defend against a card that, at least on paper, how do you defend against this card? What I think the main mistake there was that Pompeo was really committing his minions and his princess and his zap on defense and wasn't ever saving, like, one of those cards to push with offense. He was sort of relying on just the Lava Hound to do all the damage, and it just wasn't... Clyde was just playing minions. It's an easy thing to answer, but Pompeo was committing so many of his answers to that card.
Yeah. Yeah. What I think really it was that Clyde was forcing the opposite lane onto Pompeo. He was really trying to make sure that Pompeo was committing things like his princess, committing things like his Inferno Tower, and spending elixir on the other side of the map, leaving the Lava Hound largely alone, and the minions he just slowly whittle away at it. By the time that mini P.E.K.K.A. came out at the end, the push on the right had already been committed and done so much damage that Clyde only just had to look over on the left and get that fixed up. So
what's cool is we normally just watch one game from a match, but because we're about to get into the top 8, we'll just do the best of 3 because these are 2 high quality players. What's awesome here is okay, so we play a best of 3 matchup. We talked about it a little bit, but if this is your first Super Magical Cup watching, we have a best of 3 format where players have to register in advance and register 2 different decks. If you win with a deck in a match, you have to switch decks. So Clyde, winning game 1 with his giant poison deck, has switched to his second deck. Pompeo sticks with the original deck, so this will be interesting to see. Clyde's other deck is Lava Hound Poison. I was just talking last week about how I really liked Clyde's Lava Hound deck, but when I played it myself, I felt like it should have had poison. I'm really excited to see Clyde bring poison this week with his Lava Hound deck.
Did you give us some insider information?
This is absolutely the first Lava Hound mirror match I've seen.
Yeah,
I know that much.
Yeah, Lava Hound mirror match is going to be super interesting. Let's jump straight into it. I'm excited to see. Clyde takes the first game. And
well, Clyde 2-0 Pompeo.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is whoever loses, it's single elimination. You lose here, you're out. Pompeo could make it into the points. We could see a world where Pompeo wins like second place or first place in a tournament and is in the Invitational because the points are that close.
Yeah, and Clyde really needs the points in the top 8 because he's right on the threshold. If you remember, Clyde was sitting in the 15th or 16th spot.
Yeah.
If there are a lot of new faces in the top 4 this weekend and Clyde doesn't make the top 8,
yeah,
Clyde could be knocked out of the Invitational after top 4ing last week.
Yeah.
So he really, even just a top 8 performance, even just making the top 8 will be the difference between Clyde guaranteeing a spot in the finals or not. Pompeo has to go much deeper in the tournament.
I have never seen an opening hand played as Elixir Collector Lava.
Yeah, that was sort of odd to get that out there. Maybe he sort of wants to have the pressure or the tempo.
Yeah. He revealed that he's playing a Lava Hound deck now. He's revealed a lot, and he didn't really get much damage on the tower. Interesting. An opening hand that is Elixir Collector Lava Hound. I don't think I've ever. I don't
Maybe
know what
it's kind of like when people cast like a naked Hog Rider early just to see, what do you do? Like, what are you gonna do? I mean, like, granted, 7 elixirs a lot to find that out, but at the same time, he did do damage to the tower. It wasn't like it didn't do anything.
Yeah, and they're still even on Elixir Collectors, so they're kind of in an even match.
Pompeo probably has the advantage here because he's got the Inferno Tower, but also the knowledge of how to play against Lava Hounds. I mean, not that Clyde doesn't know it, but I think that him playing Inferno Tower and...
Oh, that was actually super effective.
That poison. Still
and
going,
he's got
too.
the Spear Goblins.
Oh, okay, there's mini P.E.K.K.A. will chop him up, but again, that doesn't stop. What's going on in the right here? Oh, wow, the zap. Okay,
nice.
Like, what's going on the left? It's hard to watch 2 separate Lava Hound pushes. It looks like Pompeo's pushed at another 500 damage, but again, like, is that really what you want? Like, 500's not...
Yeah.
I like this princess here being able to kill the lava pups.
Yeah, we'll see.
Boink.
Oh, the splash is not
Splash
perfect.
is not very big. And actually, that one lava pup was doing some work there.
Wow, and just like that, he caught up. Now, Clyde let the mini P.E.K.K.A. hit the right side tower, and I actually think that's okay.
Fine, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay just because if Pompeo was trying to capitalize on that, he would still need to make decisions in terms of risk-reward.
Like, it's still better for Pompeo to go for the left tower, so that damage on the right tower is pretty much irrelevant, I guess.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, unless something really weird happens.
Oh my god, but these poison barbarian push, like what do you put in front of barbarians that are cheaper than barbarians that also happen to survive poison?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And you can see now the big difference here, these two pushes, now Pompeo is playing defensively. He does not have a Lava Hound on the left side. He's having to spend all his elixir on the defensive, allowed Clyde to get another elixir collector down, and now finally does Pompeo gain the opportunity to put the Lava Hound down.
I didn't like Clyde playing that elixir collector behind. He played it behind his tower when there's only like 30 seconds left in the game. At least put it up in the center so it tanks the Lava Hound.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, this might come down to a race, and Clyde is way far ahead. That right side tower has been taking poison damage all game long. It's down to 577, and this could be the final moments of the game for Pompeo. He could just lose it here. The Inferno Tower stops the Lava Pups. This is really close. Any kind of lapse in defense, I think, will give the game to the other player.
It's 3 poisons would be the change. But here's a mini P.E.K.K.A. Full health mini P.E.K.K.A. is running. There's nothing in defensive on the side there. It's running right through the poison. It's going to take... Oh, no! One... Oh, it stopped at 130, and the poison takes it down. Incredible. One more poison from Pompeo wins the game.
Yep, one more poison.
Can Clyde put together an aggressive push? Nope, I don't think so. I think that Clyde was a little aggressive there with the Lava Hound and having the Inferno Tower shut. I think he's gonna be able to poison.
I really, man.
I don't see it. I don't see how he can take the tower.
Yeah, I think this would be a very. There it is. Super interesting.
Ties it up.
I think, man, it was so hard to follow in the heat of the moment, but I feel like there were some key decisions that Clyde made, like maybe something that was too eager. He saw that he was so far ahead in tower health at that point in time where I got excited about it. I think Clyde overcommitted on the right side. If he had been a little more careful in defending the left side, just to make sure that that mini P.E.K.K.A. couldn't come through and swing, Clyde could have slowly employed poison.
Oh god. Hold on. I clicked the wrong button. I'm listening. I'm sorry. I clicked the wrong. Woohoo! Clicked the wrong button there. It was this game, and it was match preview. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. I just clicked right into it.
There we go.
Okay. So interestingly enough, Pompeo has to switch his deck. He won now. So Clyde is. Both of them are playing their second decks, their alternate decks. Pompeo's second deck is a Hog Rider, Ice Wizard deck that seems to be reusing. What, like Spear Goblins, Inferno Tower, Elixir Collector, right? Yeah. Clyde is playing the Lava Hound deck we just saw. I'm really excited to get into the top 8, which should be starting pretty soon here. So let's jump right into this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. And interesting, Freeze exists. It's still a card that exists from him.
I mean, Hog Freeze decks are still strong. They're not as oppressively overpowerful as they used to be, but I find myself still casting mini P.E.K.K.As and Barbarians in front of my towers and then getting them all frozen. I mean, the downside of Hog Freeze, that 8 elixir doesn't kill anything. So even if you freeze the Barbarians, you still then have to deal with the Barbarians later.
And you're 4 elixir down.
Yeah.
8 elixir
8
down.
elixir down. That's,
with the Hog Rider. Interesting opening hand, Clyde.
Seems to be playing very cautiously. He wants to get to the Elixir Collector. You can see it up there. So he's just trying to play the cheapest cards possible in a way that doesn't commit to anything too deadly.
Pompeo's Barbarians.
I mean, from Clyde's standpoint, Elixir Collector was the 8th card in the deck. Well, that's brutal, right? I mean, especially when Pompeo opens with one.
Sometimes it just comes to the luck of the draw. Yeah, that's just the way the game is.
I like though that his split Barbarians have been very effective. They're actually making it pretty far into the tower.
Clyde's done that consistently. He's very good about using splits, which I think is super important to start breaking out lines of play in Clash Royale, to understand how to split, and Barbarians are a great card to do it with.
Even though Pompeo defended, I feel like he had to cast a lot of cards to deal with Barbarians that are kind of already done their job. So Clyde's coming in with his first push. Now we've already seen the Inferno Tower. Here's what's interesting between these Lava Hound players. We've seen from Pompeo's standpoint, he plays the Lava Hound back a little bit and then drops the minions in front when they get to the tower to stop the Inferno Tower.
Yeah.
We did not see Clyde adapt in that way. He's still playing his Lava Hound up front, and it's walking right into an Inferno Tower.
Yeah.
I think that if Clyde wants to adapt in this matchup, he's going to have to start taking a page out of Pompeo's book and trying to put stuff in front to actually absorb that telegraphed Inferno Tower.
I definitely agree. You kind of need to bite the bullet and do it. I mean, it's a 5 elixir investment that Pompeo is throwing out.
Yeah.
You need to respect that.
Oh, and there is a great freeze. Look at that tiny sliver of health. Several hit points. Several swings with that hog.
That was really good. It's just such a key, I mean, just right at the last moment. It's so easy to freeze and have your Hog Rider die right at that moment. Alright, and we're in double elixir time. This is Clyde's moment.
The value, by the way, of having something like Fireball or Poison in your deck. Like, just watching... Oh, no! The Hog Rider goes middle! So the Hog Rider doesn't even go for the tower that he needs to go to. That freeze was kind of wasted because he actually didn't get what he wanted, just tower damage out of it.
Yeah. Oh, nice time on the Fireball. Got the pups, not the Lava Hound.
And it also took the minions and some of the Spear Goblins behind it. But I agree that, like, Yeah, you kind of see what happens when you let these Elixir Collector decks run wild on each other. Both players have had 2 to 3 Elixir Collectors out for a lot of the game, and it's just creating these huge battle cruiser battles at the center of the bridge. One of the reasons, kind of just a side note while we're watching this, one of the reasons I'm excited to see another great fireball, excited to see Mortar and Expo come back. A lot of people do not like Mortar and Expo, but Mortar and Expo are the exact counter to decks that just sit there and build up multiple Elixir Collectors one after the other. It forces them to kind of come out of their shell and attack the Mortar.
Ooh, a fireball to try to clear everything. And I like that, even though it didn't allow the Hog Rider to get any more swings, that damage that he was piling onto the right tower is very key. Clyde has not been able to do anything. Every single time the Inferno Tower is stopping him, and I have to imagine if Clyde just watched Pompeo's game against Devon, he would have been very much more informed.
Yeah, I genuinely feel here. Oh, the freeze takes it. I feel like Clyde maybe went on tilt there a little bit near the end and just started throwing out these Lava Hounds. Didn't commit to those, like, I'm going to play them way behind my tower. I'm going to be prepared for the Inferno. This shows, actually, I think Clyde had poison in his deck. I'm surprised that Clyde wasn't playing preemptive poisons on his pushes. Like, if you had the poison on the board before the Inferno Tower ever came down, that's going to help burn down the Inferno Tower. It's going to slow the Inferno Tower's warm-up. I feel like Clyde had the tools in his deck to beat that and just couldn't sequence his cards in the right way to get what he wanted to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, if you just imagine, if he had played Lava Hound in the back and then done Minions or Goblins or something in front and then Poison on top of the Inferno Tower, that becomes all of a sudden a much more real push.
Yeah.
You know? So, the story is Pompeo has a chance.
Yeah, so Clyde does not make his second top 8, which actually puts his chance to get into the Invitational at risk.
It might be Pompeo that kicks him out.
Be quite the rivalry. Looks like we have a few more matches going before the top 8. How about we jump over to Group C and watch, looks like Woody and Alka are playing. You want to see if we can catch that one?
Yeah.
See if we can catch some Woody gameplay. Woody in the top 16 looking to make his 6th top 8.
Yeah, he is one of the. Yeah, I mean,
without question, Woody is the most consistent performer in our top brackets. He's made the top 8 an unprecedented 5 times, and now is looking for his 6th top 8. Top 16 round. Let's see if Woody is playing his trademark Mortar decks.
Oh yeah.
Woody is known for playing 2 Mortar decks, and like you have to bring 2 different decks. Woody will bring double Mortar to the event if at all possible. Yeah, that's game 1 of their series right here.
Let's go ahead and watch it. So just as a reminder, after this match, we're going to close out the raffle. We're going to, the question is, which top 16 player, and you can see the leaderboard over there, which top 16 player do you think will win the Invitational and why? So go ahead and go !, raffle space, answer that question, and we will be closing it after this match. Alka versus Woody. Alka is running another Sparky, please.
Very powerful deck. I mean, I don't know what you do against a Royal Giant Sparky Wizard push.
Yeah.
It happens to be 17 Elixir, so it's a lot, but
we've seen bigger pushes.
Yeah, that does have an answer to everything.
Yeah.
Woody is running, this is pretty much the Mortar deck that we know him for. He's, for as long as I've been watching Super Magical Cup, runs Mortar, Cannon, Inferno Tower, along with 2 spells. The big change I've seen from this deck compared to past ones is that it's running Zap instead of Rocket, I want to say. I think it normally runs Fireball, Rocket, but today he's opted to run Zap in its place to make the deck a little faster, a little more cycly. I think, you know what else he's running is Elixir Collector, which is different. Normally the deck does not run Elixir Collector. So I think what happened, here's what it is. Okay, so Zap is instead of Goblins, and Elixir Collector is instead of Rocket. Those are the 2 cards he normally plays in that spot. So instead of rocketing other people's collectors, Woody has decided to join them in the Elixir collecting, and instead of Goblins, he's using Zap to deal with other people's small troops.
Now, the only thing that I'm wondering is, will Woody at some point decide to use Tesla again?
After the buffs, certainly could.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump into this game. Rumham, any thoughts on who you think will take this?
I mean, it's always hard to. I mean, Mortar seems like a deck that wouldn't be very good, but I've played it on the ladder. I've watched Woody play. It's very good. I think what's actually going to take. I'm going to say Woody's going to win this game because he's the favorite, I would assume, in most of these tournaments. But I think what really stands out to me about Woody is his flawless mechanical play. Like, you just do not see this guy make a lot of mistakes in tournament play, and it's incredible.
Absolutely.
Even there, like even just 1 Elixir Skeletons to stop a 2 Elixir Spear Goblin, every single point of damage matters because Woody's going to try to win pretty much every game 1-0.
Wow, Princess routed the bridge, and Woody is waiting no moment longer. He's just throwing the Princess out there, getting the damage
great,
started.
yeah, and he's happy to Fireball Collectors, obviously. Level 5 Elixir Collector may really come back to bite Alka because those Fireballs are going to be better than normal. Well, the interesting here is...
deploy time.
Oh, no! So Royal Giant is the the counter
Yeah.
to Mortar. It stands right in front. It tanks most of the
Oh,
health.
wow.
I really like, though, that he was able to get the Inferno Tower to burn it down first and use a zap to reset the Sparky.
Yeah, Mortar gets about 1 or 2 shots.
It
maybe
might
just
get
one
a
more.
second shot, probably not. It only has a 40-second lifespan now.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a very long lifespan, so
Yeah.
it ticks down pretty quickly.
Wow, says Alka. Maybe Alka does not know the fury of Woody. The
Possible.
fury of the Woody siege. He does
No,
not
I like.
realize.
No, Alka made a smart play there. Adapted by putting the Elixir Collector on the other side now.
Absolutely.
Doesn't give him an easy fireball. Doesn't play it in the middle even.
Yeah.
So another
and,
mortar
and
comes
as
up.
a siege player, as we say, switching targets as a siege player is really, really rough.
Here's where you're going to start to see the power of the Mortar deck. So Mortar plays kind of like a cycle deck. He's going to start cycling this Mortar over and over again and forcing you to reply to it. At some point, Alka's like, I don't know, I guess I played Royal Giant. Okay, well, Royal Giant's fine, but it doesn't stop the Mortar from taking a few shots, and it walks you into an Inferno Tower.
And that was actually an incredibly huge connection for,
Yeah.
for Woody. I mean, the fact that
Got like
Alka
3,
tried to-
4, 5
yeah.
shots. Ugh. You're right. No, I mean, and
Yeah.
he's going to keep doing this. Woody already has the Mortar as the next card in his hand.
Yep.
So he can pretty aggressively just cast another Mortar. And oh, you want to cast Sparky and wait a while? All right, well, I'm just going to do this.
Yep.
He can. Oh, he misses the zap!
No, no execution.
I think he was trying to hit the tower as well.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
yep.
but you're right though. Like for somebody who never really makes mistakes, that is like quite a big one. Great fireball hits the Sparky, the Wizard, and all that stuff.
Danger. I'm feeling danger.
I'm
from
feeling
him.
danger. You're right though. This is a huge push that could
The
really.
Sparky is still alive. One
And
health is still.
Royal Giant is outranging this. Oh no! Fireball hits all 3, but at what cost?
The Sparky.
Arrow
Oh, okay,
hits there.
nice.
Oh,
Nice.
the
Oh my
skeleton's
God.
gone up. And then there's an Inferno Tower trying to displace it. What he was doing there was trying to move the Royal Giant
Yeah.
off of its base.
Yeah, to
Incredible
get it
defense.
onto the-
Dude, consider how badly
Oh,
Woody...
it's done. It's done.
You're right.
He's
We can.
got it.
Well, no. There's still time. There's still time for Royal Giant to take down that thing. But I like that Woody is being preemptive. He's playing cannons in
Yeah.
front. He's just playing anything he can to put hit points in between his opponent and the
Yeah.
tower. I don't know how Woody pulled himself out of that push. It was Royal Giant, Wizard, Double Sparky, and Goblins, and somehow was able to take like 800 damage on my tower from that.
Oh,
Woody,
God.
excellent defense. That's the sort of mechanical play that we talk about. I think that Woody's probably the best mechanical player in the entire Super
Yeah,
Magical Cup series,
I would
but he
agree.
insists on playing gimped mortar decks.
Yeah.
I'm terrified to see what he's going to do at the Invitational with a better mortar.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Why?
Well, that's game 1, though. Alka could certainly win games 2 and 3. Let's watch game 2 of this matchup and see. Woody has brought a second mortar deck to the event. Now, what are the cards that are the same? Skeletons, Princess, Cannon, and Mortar. The bottom 4 cards have all been switched out. So instead of
Minion,
Elixir
Horde,
Collector...
Goblin, Rocket, and Poison.
Yes, I love the poison. Poison instead of
Yeah,
Fireball, Rocket
yeah.
instead of Elixir Collector, Goblins instead of Zap, Minion Horde instead of Inferno Tower. So pretty interesting
Yeah.
because Minion Horde, you wouldn't really think of those cards as parallels, but both of them are 5-cost cards you can play against tanks to do a ton of damage to them before your opponent can react. Makes sense. I see the parallel there.
Absolutely. And Alka is going to stick with the same deck.
Yep.
Yep.
So let's see if with with 4 different cards, if Woody can again stop these huge, double Sparky Wizard Royal Giant pushes
Yeah.
with distinctly separate cards. I actually think this deck might be better than the last one because of Minion
Poison.
Horde and Poison.
Yeah.
Poison Minion Horde
agree.
stops like all those things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Maybe not the Wizard.
Yeah. The key thing is going to be. I wonder if it would have benefited Alka to do double Wizard instead of double Sparky.
It's actually Rocket. Watch this. Rocket one hits Sparky at tournament levels.
Oh, and
He hits the
he knows
Wizard
it.
too. Oh, it does! The value! The 6 for 11!
I feel like we need the gif of the guy just standing there and then the.
Oh my God! Like he didn't know because he didn't see Rocket in the last game. Woody plays Rocket most every week, right? So, and he's usually rocketing Elixir Collectors. That's one of the things that his mortar decks do to keep Elixir Collector decks from getting too far ahead. Yeah, that is the saddest. I mean, that's big for her. You don't see a lot of value rockets like that.
Yeah, that was.
I could see Rocket coming back actually after this next update. Ooh, I like the mixture of Cannon and Princess actually do a pretty good job at killing the Barbarians while allowing the mortar to take a couple shots.
Nice. Royal Giant stops it from getting a last shot, but still
here's-
damage is done.
And here's where we see, you can see that even if Alka had Zap, it would help, but those Spirit Goblins wouldn't clean it up that quickly. The Minion Horde was able to just chew those things up.
Yep, and push across and take down the Spear Goblins too.
Does Alka have arrows in his deck? I think he
Yeah,
does, but
he
he's been
spends it
arrowing
on
the
the
princess.
princess,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think it's great work by Woody there, punishing Alka for arrowing the princess, being like, all right, well, here's a 5-cost card. What can you do about this? Mm-hmm. And he has Wizard. Alka has Wizard in there, but it's too late, right? He already played it. Okay, so I like the Elixir Collector there in the middle. Ooh. I think this mortar's probably not going to go very far.
Goblins are gonna try to stab up the Royal Giant. Yeah, it's only got maybe one shot left in it.
And the princess, of course, chipping away at the elixir collector. Oh, the mortar even gets a big shot on it. Oh, that's brutal.
Wizard
And that cannon. Oh, you know what's I think great about Woody's deck here is that he gets a lot of value out of cards. He already got the value out of that cannon.
Yeah.
It shot the Royal Giant and the other things, and then somehow also takes out a 5 elixir wizard after. Like, Woody should be really far ahead in elixir. Kind of is.
I mean, yeah, he spent that on the Princess and the Mortar, and now the Inferno Tower just stands there.
Because he's already just used arrows. He literally just cast arrows.
Yep.
So with the poison here hurting down the Spear Goblins, I think he could probably get a little bit of damage in there, but the Wizard, I think, good defense. Still, though,
Rocket. Yep. Oh my God, 2 for 2.
Oh.
2 for 2.
He already had the poison down, so I kind of feel like that might have been a little excessive because the poison was already going to wear the Wizard down to the point that it wasn't going to do much to a tower.
Yeah.
And he probably would rather rocket the Sparky, all things being equal.
That's true.
I like that he's cycling the mortar on the other side, though, forcing his opponent.
He knows the rocket will take it down.
Oh, you're right. The rocket does kill it.
Yeah.
So he's just doing that to force his opponent to maybe split his cards on the other side.
Yep.
It's forcing... oh, he does. Oh, he rockets.
Nice. Yeah. That's
That's
just
so
sucks.
funny. Yeah.
Sparky versus Rocket is just...
And he knows that he can't put another push together before he gets a rocket.
It's
again.
too slow.
It's
It's
slow.
not a hog cycle day.
Right. He's got to telegraph a lot of...
Yep.
And I don't know, that's not even 2 rocket hits, to be honest. He can
Yeah.
just fire the rocket. Woody, though, does have a magic ability to find himself, like, if that thing attacks again, he has a magic ability to find himself almost dead in overtime, but with the spell to take it home.
Oh,
So Woody
who
wins
is it?
2 over
Was it against-
Alka. Woody makes his 6th top 8 out of 9 events.
Wait, hold on.
6!
Did he not get top 4 last week?
No, he didn't play last week.
He
Or he got eliminated in the
didn't.
first round, actually. He got knocked out in the first round, weirdly enough. Just like Clark Kent did this week. So even our immaculate players are not immune to the occasional upset.
Because we said 6, right? But Woody did not, at least, okay, ignoring last week, Woody...
He top-8'd the week
last
that I
week
was
was
not here.
8. So there were 7 Super Magical Cups, and he played in 6 of the 7, I believe. And every single one, he got top 4 at least, right? He won one, and he got second in another, and I think he top 4.
He was 5 for 5 at one point, skipped a week, lost in the first round, and then this is his 6th top 8
Yeah.
out of 9 plays.
Yeah.
Now Woody has won once, right?
Yeah.
So he does have a title,
Yeah.
but he's a consistent like top 8, top 4 competitor. I am so impressed with Woody.
Yep.
He's one of the favorites at the Invitational for sure.
I would agree.
Let me get you, before we go into the top 8, let's close the raffle, get things. Let me get just another water.
Cool.
And I'm really excited to see this top 8 start. We've got some big names. Looking at the bracket over here, we're going to have some good players in it.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and close this raffle, and we'll be looking to go into the top 8 shortly after. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and draw our winners. And the question was, who of the top 16 players do you think will win and why? So let's go ahead and draw. Our first winner will be Wickedness59, and he says Clark Kent because it's Superman. Clark Kent definitely is. I mean, they look similar, but Clark Kent wears glasses and Superman does not. So I think you're wrong, Wickedness. Somebody suggested that Clark Kent was Superman. I was just letting him know that's not the case. I mean, obviously Clark Kent has bad vision and Superman doesn't.
I bet you Louisiana State University believes highly in Clark Kent. Clark Kent LSU is his full name.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Louisiana State.
Patootie says Clark Kent. That's number 2 for Clark Kent.
People love Clark Kent. He's the people's favorite. You even love him. You're a big fanboy.
Yeah, I really do.
I've got Woody.
Clark Kent because he shows very consistent play. All right. Thank you, Patootie.
Congratulations, Patootie. By the way, I'm making the 2nd or 3rd round. You went a little deep in the tournament this week, so congratulations.
Yeah. Awesome. B. Moley. Oh, nice. B. Moley says Raintown because he is my all-time favorite and plays so smart.
Raintown's great. Raintown actually streams on Twitch, so if you haven't already, followed him, make sure you can go check out Raintown.
I think it's Raintown 7.
Raintown 7, that's right. It's Raintown 7 on Twitch, and he's actually top-8'd 3 times. He's a regular. He's also a consistent performer here in this event. I really like Raintown's play. Last week was funny because he made the top 8. Lost in the top 8 round, and then when we did the raffle for the top 4, it was like, who do you want to win in the top 8? All of the winners had said Raintown. Like, all 3 people were like, Raintown, 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 right after we watched him lose. It was so unfortunate.
Oh, man.
But I was pretty excited. Do we have the top 8 all put together yet, or are you still drawing?
Let's go ahead and look. We're done with the draw, so those are the 3 winners, and we still have more questions. When the top 8 starts, we'll have 1 more question for that, 1 question for the semis, and 1 question for the finals. So lots of stuff to look forward to. There we have it.
So Interlol, top 8s again. I believe he top 8'd last week. So welcome back, Interlol, for a repeat top 8 performance on back-to-back weeks.
Yeah.
Real J Zig played last week, but did not top 8. So congratulations, Real J Zig, on that persistence, learning from last week's tournament to make it again. Balraj, first-time top 8er. Haven't seen you before. I actually think it might be your first Super Magical Cup entry. So awesome job at your first entry, first top 8. Woody, of course, dominant performance. Overlord, I have not yet seen before. Pompeo, big member of the community. Awesome to see him make his first top 8. If Pompeo makes, I think, top 4 or higher, could make the Invitational. We'll see.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Top, I mean, 3rd, 4th place is 250 points, and currently, if you do 250, so right now, looking at this current playoffs bracket, there are no people who are currently at that 250 point range that are in this bracket. So this means that if Pompeo makes it to the 3rd, 4th place, he will be the most recent winner that gained 250 points, putting him at the top end of the leaderboard, making him eligible to compete in the Invitational.
At the same time, though, that maybe if Pompeo loses to Overlord and Interlol makes the top 4, Interlol would have 350 points and push all those top 4 people out of contention.
Absolutely.
Pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited. We'll do. So if you're tuning in, we're going to do match previews. We're going to watch every single game in the top 8, which means we're going to see the best of 3. We're going to see all the decks from all the winners because everyone has to bring 2 decks. So we'll see that, and we're going to live spectate the top 4. What do I think? I want to see Pompeo do well because I like Lava Hound decks. I love Woody's his mortar play. Interlol really impressed me last week with his decks. I believe he made the top 4, and I did the deck right up there. Who else? I haven't seen Ido or Boom play at all, so I'm really excited to see that matchup just because I'm not familiar with either player.
So I mean, part of me wants to see Woody win just because I want to see the first 2-time winner.
That's right. We've never had a repeat winner.
Yeah. But another part of me thinks Balraj is somebody Balraj or Overlord, just because they're new to the top 8, and that seems to be the trend, you know? I mean, Pompeo is too, to be fair. Pompeo is too.
There's been a new winner every week.
I don't know. This is crazy. I really don't know who I would rather see win. I think there's so many great options right now, and one of the things, too, is it's Interlol. I want to see him play more. I want to see how he handles these situations. So,
yeah, I'm actually... I'm going to start writing down people's decks so we know what we're dealing with as we get further into the event. One thing that's interesting is the trend of people top 8ing one week and then top 8ing again the next week. So, for example, like Skrazor won his first event and then top 4 the next week, and then since then has struggled a little bit in play. Interlol makes first top 8 last week, top 8s again, right? It just seems maybe Pompeo. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Excited. Let's go ahead, and we have the first match ready, and we're going to be watching Interlol versus the Real J Zig. Now, Interlol currently, as kind of a storyline, is interesting to me because I haven't gotten to see him play too much.
Yeah, it was last week. When I was solo casting is when I got to watch a lot of Interlol games.
But just from the decisions that he makes, he kind of reminds me of kind of like a Clark Kent, you know, just makes very good decisions and is very aware of the game state, you know, and I think that's what's going to really make him, that's what really puts him above the rest. Obviously, he's gotten top 8, so.
I love you, Interlol, but I am rooting for Real J Zig. What is this deck? I don't even know what to write down here. I'm trying to write down, it's a deck like this. What? Valkyrie, Barbarians, Ice Wizard, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Princess, Mortar. All right, here's my guess. If this was like, say, Cannon instead of Mortar, I think the deck would look a little more familiar. The Mortar's really throwing me off there, right? Yeah. So I wonder how J Zig uses Mortar, whether it is an attacking card or whether it's actually more of like a center place defense that ends up hitting things like princesses on their side of the map.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how he employs it. And the other thing is he's not running Fireball, he's running arrows.
Yeah, arrows and zap.
Yeah, and Fireball is kind of the meta spell right now, so we'll see. Let's go ahead and jump into this first game and see what happens. Interlol versus the Real J Zig.
I'm starting to write down the deck list. Hey, if you like Super Magical Cup and you want more Super Magical Cup action, by the way, tune in. We have a YouTube channel, Super Magical Cup.
Yeah.
We have obviously the Twitch. Give us a follow if you haven't already, so you can
Yeah.
tune into the Super Magical Cup every week, including the Invitational next week. And most importantly, is we're starting to post daily matches from the Super Magical Cup to our YouTube channel. So if you haven't already checked it out, go to our YouTube channel at Super Magical Cup, give us a follow, and even if you can't watch the entire event every week, you can tune in for a match of the day. You can talk about high-level strategy with other people. You can sort of see what these players are playing and analyze their decisions every day.
Yep.
Great early attack with the Valkyrie mini P.E.K.K.A.
Nice.
I like how he's able to drag the goblins back, and then look at that. The goblins are going to kill the princess.
Yeah, that was a very, very intricate defense by Interlol. Positioned it so that the Valkyrie went to the cannon, and the goblins faced the mini P.E.K.K.A., and then the goblins went on to take down the princess.
One thing that kind of hurts Jay Zig here is the lack of an elixir collector.
Oh!
Stops that mini P.E.K.K.A. in the path.
Uh-oh.
But what's it shooting at? Like, shooting at cannons and stuff is like not very high value,
But
I guess.
this is getting to be the end of the elixir train. It tags onto the
Yeah.
tower, so that's good. Good.
You know what, though? I kind of feel like Jay Zig is spending less elixir overall. Like, even though it's kind of like going either way here, I feel like he's somehow getting away with a lot less elixir being spent. Could be wrong.
Nice, and the Ice Wizard is going to make it. That's going to do maybe 200, 250. Yeah, about
Ice
about
Wizard's a
200.
very underrated. I'm actually surprised of all the cards in the balance update that were not changed. I'm surprised that Ice Wizard wasn't changed at all. I think Ice Wizard could have taken a hit point nerf of like 5% or something like that. Just like a haircut off of his hit points. Because every week I watch
it
a tournament
killed by a
plays.
fireball, right?
Doesn't get killed by a fireball.
Would 5% make it get one shot?
I don't think so. I mean, you could argue that it should or shouldn't. I understand the argument that it shouldn't die to a fireball because it doesn't really do any damage. It does less damage than like a knight if left alone. So I kind of get it, but whatever. So this mortars are interesting because the mortar has been a good threat at forcing. I actually really like the mortar in this deck now that I get it. The mortar is forcing Interlol to kind of come out of his shell and start to play cards when at a position, like when he doesn't necessarily want to.
Yeah.
Like right now, he doesn't really want to play a mini P.E.K.K.A. and a cannon stuff up by the river, but you have to because else the mortar's going to chop you up.
Yeah. The barbarians in front do a really great job. The only thing that I'm thinking about is by the time the Hog Rider comes out, it gets so much effectiveness just by swinging on the mortar. It really reduces the lifetime a lot, and in essence, the damage that it does.
Yeah. Oh, didn't even get one swing by the Hog Rider there.
Yeah. And it's interesting, the cycle is not quite exactly nice. The mortar keeps getting played while the Hog Rider is still cycling up.
Yeah, the problem with Jay Zig's deck compared to Woody's deck, for example, is that it's a pretty expensive deck overall. There's a lot of 4s and 4s and 5s.
And he doesn't have a collector.
And there's no collector, right? So with Woody's deck, there's so many 1s and 2s and 3s that it's easy. You can like play the mortar and they play a Hog Rider or whatever to counter it. And by the time you get the next mortar out, they don't have it. It's not even in their hand yet.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Interesting swap around. I wonder what the plan there was. Like, I don't, why randomly cast the Hog Rider aggressively in the lane?
Now you don't have the Hog Rider for the mortar. Yeah, the barbarians though.
And it might get one shot on the cannon, but who cares about that?
Yeah.
That cannon's gonna chop those barbarians. Great play by Interlol, sort of forcing bad exchanges. Is that Hog Rider gonna do it? It's still going.
Caught up.
One more? Nope.
And that's the reason why Interlol was starting to, hey,
Get it.
the Hog Riders do a ton of damage. I have goblins, I have minions. Those are super high damage if I make one opening happen.
I wonder if Interlol theorized that, like, basically you see that
he's just surpassing the Ice Wizard.
Oh no.
Oh,
That's
no!
it. That's game. That's game right there, buddy. So I think what happened there was that Interlol realized that he could create a sequence of plays that real Jay Zig would play into. If you notice near the end there, he would play things like mini P.E.K.K.A. The mini P.E.K.K.A. would kill the mortar. Then it would get countered by barbs, but because he already had the cannon there, the cannon ended up killing the barbs that was used on defense. Plays like that, I think, put Jay Zig further and further behind because once those barbs were used against the mini P.E.K.K.A., you don't have them for the hog in the other lane. So instead of using Hog Rider as an answer to mortar, he started using Hog Rider aggressively, and Jay Zig couldn't both support his mortar pushes and defend against the split push hog.
Yeah, which, I mean, that adaptation, just thinking about it, Interlol saw the mortar coming out, and this is not a deck that you see people run, right? Like, this is not on the ladder at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I would venture so far as to say that. This is just not on the ladder.
Oh, it's not at all. I mean, I've heard people suggest mortar for things, but I haven't seen it played. Okay, so we got game 2 right here.
Yep.
What's interesting is Interlol has to switch decks because he's won with his Hog Cycle deck. So his next deck is Giant Balloon.
Ooh.
Now, actually, I think 2 weeks ago when we were both here casting, that was the big week for Balloon to break out. We had both a Giant Balloon deck and a Lava Hound Balloon deck make the top 4.
Yeah,
so,
I think one of them even made it to the finals, right?
No. They both made the top 4 round and lost in the top 4. The finals that week, I think, were like double poison decks matching off against each other. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
but
I don't remember.
but I do remember that 2 balloon decks made the top 4 that week. So Interlol is bringing the giant balloon. J-Zig is staying with the same deck. So we'll see how that does against a different matchup.
Let's go ahead and hop into that.
Close.
Let's
Give it a watch.
I'm tilted.
All right, giant balloon. And we don't know what real J-Zig's other deck is yet because he's played the same deck in both games. Only the winner has to change decks. You have to win both of your 2 wins in a 2 out of 3 match. Both of your wins have to be with each of your decks. So J-Zig, if he wins this match, will have to switch to a second deck, and we'll see it then.
All right. Real J-Zig. And after this match, I'm going to open the next raffle.
Minions, that's interesting because they'll do a pretty good amount of damage, but that Ice Wizard is going to kill him pretty fast.
Yep.
I actually like this. Mortar's doing really well right now.
Yeah, it's already tagged onto the tower.
Ooh,
Gets
great
a little
Princess
chip.
Splash.
Yeah. Maybe one more shot. Yep. One more? Please?
Nah. It has pretty low. Again, 40 seconds is pretty low lifespan.
Yeah. It took a pretty big hit from when it first.
I don't think this one barb is going to get it there. He might. No, maybe not. Doink. Oh, perfect.
Poor barbarian. He tried.
The lifespan of a barbarian is from the bridge to the tower.
That or being set on fire by a fireball. One of the two.
Ooh, that Ice Wizard unfortunately took the splash damage, and that's, it doesn't seem like much, but those little details can matter a lot over the course of the game.
Yeah.
Just like randomly getting your thing clipped by an archer's or a fireball, that can be the difference in like several hundred points of damage, which adds up.
Interesting choice for the cards. Neither Mortar nor Valkyrie are that great against the Giant.
We already had Barbs. Barbs are just now got back into his hand.
Yeah.
What I really like was that Interlol countered. I mean, Giant's a great counter against Mortar because it could absorb like all the hit points. It could just stand there and take all the hit points. And since it ignores all those other buildings, other troops, playing something like skeletons in front of it doesn't stop it from going to the mortar and punching the mortar in.
Yep. Oh, interesting. Okay.
So probably going to arrow the princess again. And again, gets to clip the Ice Wizard, which
I wonder if
helps.
he needs to kind of play a different kind of set.
The weakness I see in J-Zig's game right now is I feel like J-Zig is a little bit predictable. I feel like J-Zig tends to... He has one line of play that thinks is the best play, and just sticks with it no matter what. And maybe it is the best play, I don't know or not, but I think the difference is that Interlol is able to mess around, changes lines of play up, and force...
I'm pretty sure that thing's done. That thing's
one
done.
more. Oh, yeah, there's nothing shooting it. Where's the Ice Wizard? The Ice Wizard, oh my god, being played on the right there.
Oh no, it's walking away!
Still going. The funny thing is, Ice Wizard's one of the best things you can have against a balloon, and he's playing it so aggressively to defend the mortar he doesn't need it. He didn't know he needed it on defense, but now he does. So after seeing the balloon, why would you play the Ice Wizard now?
The balloon is gonna... Okay.
That mortar's gonna kill the princess. Nope.
Yep.
Not if it dies.
Yep. The balloon? Oh, it's actually gonna make it.
I'm gonna make one shot. Nope, falls short. It's hard to get the second balloon off because of the king tower, yeah.
Unless you play the balloon here and play the giant in the middle position.
Interesting that J-Zig, for this deck not really looking like a mortar deck, he plays it like a mortar deck. Like it is a hard mortar deck. But
it's just missing things like the cannon, or
like
and
I get it. I clearly J-Zig made it to the top 8, so he's got a good strategy and a good play. Like he cut through a tough field. But it's interesting because Interlol was really able to mix up his play in both games and run circles around him. It's crazy if you think about how many mortars J-Zig cast. Interlol only cast one balloon. Or two, the second one at the very end. But you know what I mean? Like the one balloon to win the game. He never had to show that card until it was just time to win.
And that's why I was likening him to Clark Kent, right? Because I feel like that it's very similar. There's just these games where they'll play and then they'll just change up how they play in the middle of the game and make one decision, and then it just pays off big, and you're like,
sign of a good player.
So
Interlol wins 2-0 over J-Zig. Let's move to another match. What do we got?
Let me go ahead. So the next match is 8-0 versus Boom.
Let's go ahead and watch I like this. I am not familiar with either of these players. So
I'm going to open the next giveaway question, and let's go ahead and pick. Let's pick... I like this question. I like this question a lot. What is your playstyle? Beatdown, control, or siege? I really like this question just because I really like hearing why other people like certain playstyles.
Now, this is your first time watching Super Magic Copper. You haven't heard these terms before. These are terms that we kind of coined to discuss different types of decks in Clash Royale. Beatdown decks are decks that come over the bridge, fight you on your side of the tower, knock your tower down. These are, giant decks, Hog Rider decks, Golem decks, things that want to come over there and knock you over. control decks are decks that play very defensive, that really try to invest their elixir for the right moment, and they tend to counterattack a lot. Things like barbarians and mini P.E.K.K.A on defense that then push back on offense and deal damage to the tower. That's a very kind of control style of play. Siege decks are decks that try to win from their side of the board. And what I mean is mortars, X-bows, spawner decks, rocket cycles, anything that basically doesn't even want to come over to your side of the board, wants to beat you from their base and forces you to attack them, is a siege deck.
So the question is, what is your playstyle? Beatdown, controller, siege, and also why, right? So you need to tell us why. You can't just say beatdown and leave it at that, because we really just want to know what attracts you as a player and why you like certain playstyles.
Did we? Let's pull the match preview up so I can start writing down these here decks.
Let's go ahead and do that. So the raffle is open. You guys can go ahead and submit your entries. Ado versus Boom.
Hog cycle for Ado.
Yep, Ado is running a hog cycle, and then there's nothing really too particular. He has the elixir collector, so that is. There are hog cycles that run without the collector. They just want super cheap cards, but Ado is opting to do that.
I expect Boom to play pretty aggressive, so he's got a minor cycle deck, but unlike a lot of minor cycle decks that tend to play like Elixir Collector and a lot of two-way cards, this one's running Hog Rider. So I assume that his main plan is to drop Hog Rider with minor tanking the tower for him. So it'll be interesting to see how aggressive Boom plays. Ido has the Elixir Collectors, but how much can he rely on Elixir Collectors in a deck that has against a deck that has minor and Fireball? Yeah,
exactly. So we'll see. I think it's going to be kind of tough for Ado, but it's definitely up to him to make it work. And he's made it this far. All the players that have made it this far have some kind of,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's a 128-person tournament. To even make it to the top 8, you have to play through, what, like 4 or 5 rounds of best-of-3 matches, right? So it's not even like fluke wins can get you there.
Exactly. All right, Collector versus Princess is the opening, and we were talking about this. Minor might be the next play. There it is.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And there's the Miners. It's interesting that the Miners going after the Ice Wizard in the middle. Ice Wizard has a lot of hit points.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I got the Collector. Oh, I see. The Collector was there. Duh.
Yes. Yeah. That was a big fireball. That was...
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff, plus the Collector. So here comes the Hog Rider with Princess covering for it. No, those Barb's going to do great work. Oh, gets one hit in with the Zap.
Yep. Zap on Barbarians with the Hog Rider. Lets the Hog Rider almost get 2.
And we see, obviously, how powerful Princess can be. I hear that's a good card.
Yep. Once upon a time, somebody told me that Princess was pretty good.
So Ice Wizard doesn't do enough damage, but does enough to the very fragile Princess. I wonder what Ido's trying to do here, because I think the Elixir Collector in the middle was smart, but you do open yourself up to fireballs.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting that placement there puts it so that you cannot fireball... You can't fireball the left tower and the Elixir Collector, but you could theoretically fireball the Collector and any units that were standing in front of it if you wanted to get some good value there.
Yeah. Now the mini P.E.K.K.A is going to wander off to the right side tower. Oh! Gets the Hog Rider in the back.
It's never going to do any damage, but I think that
he just let it happen. Okay, he's got the fireball, but he's still going to take about 3 swings. And the Zap going to give him 1 more 4. That's actually really
That was great.
Hurts.
I mean, that was great. Like, it's interesting how Boom dropped the Hog Rider trying to do some damage, but it got chopped up by the mini P.E.K.K.A. And then on the other side, he had to kind of... I mean, Fireball is not the worst, but it leaves about a half-health Hog Rider to chop up the rest of your tower, and it's... You just don't want to take that damage.
Yeah.
There's actually a way you can place the Fireball so it knocks the Hog Rider backwards.
I almost would have let that Miner go ham for a little bit, and then let it hit the King Tower, and then play the mini P.E.K.K.A on it.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because it was played so close to the King Tower.
Yeah. You should just allow the Miner to like hit the King Tower, because then you're set for the rest of the game.
We're seeing the addition of all those zaps and stuff, the totality of all those zaps. The zaps and those extra 1 or 2 attacks were able to take the tower down. The tower had about 800 damage or more on it. Uh-oh, what's going to happen here? This is a big push here from Boom, though. He could easily tie it up.
Yep. We'll see.
That Ice Wizard, though.
Yeah.
It's hard for minion hordes to get through Ice Wizards. I feel bad for Boom. Boom's really split his damage up between the 2 towers. If that was all on 1 tower, 1 would probably be dead.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things I think Ado has just been so conscientious of the Miner. I mean, he has to understand that playing. Maybe it's just that he's playing this Elixir Collector and a Hog Cycle. I'm sure he's had to deal with Miner a ton on ladder. So it just feels like he's very.
I actually don't think Ido's Miner defense has been that sharp, because he's very rarely had a unit down before the Miner lands. The Miner is always popping up on the Collector and hitting the Collector first. Only like maybe once or twice was something there to block the miners. So it'll be interesting that if Boom advances, what happens when he comes across somebody who's always got something that lands where the miner's going to land. So cool. Congratulations, Ido, winning game 1. Let's get to game 2 of their matchup. Ido is going to have to switch decks. Boom has also switched decks. It's still a miner cycle deck, but it's different. Ido brings up Golem Poison as the second deck.
It's interesting. So I'm trying to figure out exactly which cards were different. The Fire Spirits definitely we hadn't seen. He had Minion Horde, right?
He didn't have Ice Wizard.
He didn't have Ice
Ido
Wizard.
had Ice Wizard, but he did not. So
okay.
he had Miner, Princess, I want to say Zap, and Mini P.E.K.K.A. were the 4 cards between the 2 decks. Because Boom did not have an Elixir Collector last game, and now he does.
Oh, yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah. And Ido, Golem Poison. Let's do it. Let's watch
Big
it.
fan. I mean, it's fun to watch. I mean, that's what's interesting about the Golem Poison decks is that it's sort of a textbook Elixir Collector deck. Like you see a lot of decks that run Elixir Collector, but they're just running it because it's a good card. It's something you can kind of have in the middle. Ido's Golem deck is going to show what Elixir collecting really does. And if you go to our YouTube channel, we actually have a video of last week from Juan, the eventual winner, and you really see it. Like, you see him go Elixir Collector, 1, 2, 3, 4 collector, 1, 2, 3, 4 collector. Gets like 3 to 4 collectors out, and it's super powerful. It never goes off plan.
Yep.
Great Zap Princess there defense. You took out, what, 6 Elixir worth of cards for only 5 Elixir while getting out a collector and only taking 100 damage on your tower. Pretty good.
Yep. Here comes the Miner.
I'm surprised that Miners played in the middle like that. Normally when they play the Elixir Collectors in the middle, I kind of just like let them get away with it. Like, I'm like, whatever, you got me. Like, because usually they want to play a second collector, and like you can see there with Boom, the second collector's got to go in the back somewhere, and you can miner that one.
Yeah, and meanwhile, this middle Elixir Collector is
poison?
still pumping out a pretty good amount.
I want to see. I guess opts not to. Ido decides not to poison. Instead, it's going to minion, but unfortunately, played it a little too soon, and the minions went down. I don't like the zap from Boom.
Yeah.
That was a wasted zap because the princess's
Maybe he
shot was already
trying
a
to-
zap.
Yeah, maybe he was trying to save the princess by zapping and have the princess shoot, but just the delay.
Yeah,
the
that makes a lot
inherent
of
1
sense.
second delay and then deploy time.
Now, see, there's where I like mining. Now, great placement of the mini P.E.K.K.A.
Nice.
That's what I'm talking about. You
Yeah.
played the mini P.E.K.K.A. first. Look, the Elixir Collector took no damage. The mini P.E.K.K.A. took, what, 20% health? Who cares, right? Like, a very marginal amount of health. That's how you defend your Elixir Collectors against Miner. Will he chop up the Ice Wizard? The slow on the Ice Wizard is subtly just horrible, right? Like, balloons never make it with an Ice Wizard.
Yeah, it's just with the tower hitting them. The only thing to be said is it's very, ironically, Balloon Freeze is really great if you're just relying on Ice Wizard to defend against the balloon.
I think strategically, Boom has done a great job of not letting Ido build up double collector. Like, whether or not you knew that it was a Golem deck, you certainly just don't want him to get all the collectors going, right? And I think this mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to cause some trouble, though.
The minions are actually doing a lot of work on the skeleton, too.
Oh,
and
no,
this
Fire
is really
Spirits.
bad. The princess does not do a lot of damage, and it might just die. Oh, God. Look at how much damage the golem has already done. That was just like one swing. It just, like, touched the tower.
With the poison and the 2 Golemites attacking too, they're
they might actually
Boom
take
could
it
be
down.
in really bad shape. Yeah, because that tower attacks slower while under poison. So not only is it taking damage, it's doing less damage.
Yeah.
Kind of question whether or not the Golem needed to be played all the way back there. I think you could have played it at the river, just because you need so little damage, right?
Yeah. He's gonna be able to play the skeletons to protect. Nice. And
I like that even
needs,
defense.
He needs some answer for the mini P.E.K.K.A. though.
The mini P.E.K.K.A. is going to do a significant amount of damage, but we'll see. His mini P.E.K.K.A. might chop up theirs, and then between the poison and the explosion, it takes the mini P.E.K.K.A. out.
Now, one of the things that you know what this reminds me of is when we were casting the Super Magical Cup, where Double Prince was very popular. We saw these big pushes that would just one-shot towers. That kind of reminded me of that.
Yeah, Golem is definitely the successor to that, in the sense that he's still playing. So congratulations, Ido, by the way, winning 2-0 in the top 8, moving to the top 4. We haven't actually been making a big enough deal about this round. The top 8 round is the most important round because you earn cash, money, prizes for a top 4 placement. So top 8 is awesome to get there, but you have to win your round to make it there. Interlol's done it. Ido's done it. We got 2 more top 8 matches to see.
Yeah, super important because this will change the ordering of the points by a ton. Interlol and Ido are 2 new names on the board.
Interlol has secured his spot in the Invitational now because I believe he had a top 4 performance in the past.
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
Yeah, so it's just off. It was just off the leaderboard. now has definitely made it. He's going to have 350 points, and that should be enough to lock in a spot.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the last spots in the Invitational. So, I mean, Interlol not only just won at least 40 and up to $200, but a chance at the Invitational to win even more money.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ido is maybe following this similar path. We'll see. But we have 2 players in the top 4 now, and that means we just have 2 matches left in the top 8. And let's go ahead and figure out what
big names too. Woody versus Balraj and Overlord versus Pompeo.
Yeah, we're gonna do Woody Balraj.
The crowd is demanding more mortars.
Another one.
Me. How many? Wait, hold on.
And a baby dragon.
Pretty cool deck. No, I've heard a lot about the Lava Hound Baby Dragon combination. The big, actually, this is almost all air deck. You know, it's got minions and minion horde. What's interesting here to look for is the Baby Dragon will probably back up the Lava Hound. What happens is when the Lava Hound dies, the building is going to retarget instantly to something that's around. It's going to retarget to the Baby Dragon because for a split second, the Lava Pups don't exist. And then when the Lava Pups exist, the Baby Dragon tanks for them while they surround the tower. That's sort of the interaction that Balraj is trying to set up.
Yeah. And that also, I mean, and then you also have minion horde for just general high damage. Woody, I mean, Inferno Tower, he has 2 spells on the Princess. It seems to me to be a really inefficient defense. So we'll see.
I mean, he's got Zap and Princess to deal with the minions, but what do you deal with the Baby Dragon with? I guess Inferno Tower or something. We'll see.
Okay, I think this was it. Yeah. And as we're starting this game, remember, guys, the current raffle question is, what is your favorite playstyle? Control, beatdown, or siege, and why? Exclamation mark, raffle, space, answer that question. We'll be closing it after we're done with the round of 8. Balraj versus Woody. I'm
2 Lava Hound decks in the top 8.
Yeah.
And this is before the buff.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
I think Supercell got tricked.
Woody opens up in response to the collector with a mortar. I actually really liked the counter there. Go for it. That thing's gonna die.
He gets one swing.
The Ice Wizard did a shockingly good job at dealing with a lot of all the stuff there, like the cannon, the mortar. Did a good amount of damage, but 2 shots did manage to land.
Yeah, I mean,
it's 20% of the game already.
This is pretty. I think Balraj is pretty okay with this. It was maybe 500 damage for the cost of an Elixir Collector. Interesting that he played his Lava Hound and not his second Elixir Collector.
I think he just drew it, right? But I'm surprised. Yeah, I agree. That he didn't just like arrow. Yeah.
I think he should have cycled to the Elixir Collector. But we'll see.
But I guess this is it. So we're gonna have the Lava Hound. Oh, so Woody not even taking any guff. Oh wow, actually that's a huge fireball right there.
Yeah, I would definitely want a fireball.
That's a pretty juicy one. Or is he not going to?
The Baby Dragon.
Looks like he doesn't want
to play defensively.
Well, the reason why he's doing that is the Baby Dragon actually doesn't do any damage. So like it's like one of the lowest single target attackers in the game for its cost. So I think what he's doing there is he would rather have just cast troops and stuff to distract and tank than actually fireball it. I don't know if that was the right play. Because, I mean, he spent 4 on the mortar. You would have spent 4 on the fireball.
And players of this level will definitely try things in the game, see if it doesn't work out, and then change their play. Right? So maybe the next time Woody might choose to spell.
Interesting enough, that cannon will probably tank for a pretty long time of the Lava Hound if the Baby Dragon, of course, is killed first. Oh, the Baby Dragon's not going to live that long, though.
And the Lava Hound is going to get attracted to the cannon. This is what we were talking about.
Oh, no, the Barbarians. Oh, great fireball there.
Nice, it actually resets the Inferno Tower onto the...
Because, it killed the one he was shooting. Great play by Woody. We talk about Woody being an exceptional mechanical micro player. You're seeing it right there.
Yep. The ordering of how he plays and the positioning, too, has just been fantastic.
And his reaction time is through the roof. Like, how do you react to that Barbarian play so instantly?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yep, I already know what I need to do there.
Yep. He's hovering the fireball.
He's definitely, I like that he has decided to not take any baits on Fireball.
Yeah.
If it's not Barbarians, it's not getting Fireballed. I don't care who you are and what you do.
That's a thing. When you run out of space placing your Elixir Collector, you just, you know what? I'm just going to place it here.
Oh, go for another Fireball. Not the Zap.
It opens up the mortar. I mean, the mortar is now
now start shooting on the Elixir, I like, I mean, Zap and Princess is certainly no joke at killing Barbarians. It doesn't seem like much, but it only takes about 4 Princess shots plus a Zap, I think, to kill them. And of course, you have the tower helping out a little bit on defense. Look at those 3 collectors, 3 high health collectors. Yeah. I mean, like, that one collector's not that close to dying.
He's been cycling them like crazy.
It's a Mortar is definitely a deck that relies on Elixir advantage a lot because it
The more often you can get your mortar set up, the better.
We just want to get him to a position where I have, it's just like a hog deck. I have 4, you have 0, I play a mortar, and you're just like, I don't know what to do now, right?
Yeah.
I think I really like what Balraj is doing to delay the game by putting the elixir collectors in the middle. He doesn't really need the elixir that much, but absorbing the hits from the mortar is huge.
Yeah.
It stops Woody from ever really putting together a serious offense.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
Now it's locked on, or is it? It's going to lock on probably to the Ice Wizard.
4? He's up. He's got 4.
Got another fireball.
He's got 4.
Wow, and now it's locked on again with a lot of health. I think he can play another mortar soon, too.
Woody,
it did lock onto the tower.
Woody is in position to really take the match here, I think.
But no, I don't know. Another collector comes out, but I like that he immediately answers with a lot, right? He's got the princess and the mortar, and he really wants to blow up that elixir collector before the opponent can gain elixir, and cycle back to the next collector. It's interesting because if you take the collector off of elixir off of collectors, it's harder for them to get to the second collector because they don't have anything to cast with it.
Yeah. And, I mean, I think Woody has just got himself...
Wow.
Elixir Collector's snowball,
I love the fireball there on the Elixir Collector, too, because he knows what he needs to do. Like, obviously, you got to hold off the barbs. That sucks. But he's trying to do it with a lot of other cheaper cards to get ahead of that cycle.
He has too much Elixir.
Oh, that's locked on. Oh, second shot. It only needs 1 or 2 more shots. Wow, Woody takes game 1.
Yeah.
With his mortar collector deck. It's funny because we usually don't see him play collector. He's playing rocket, and here he plays collector and gets 3 of them out at the same time.
Yeah. So the big important thing to think about is that collectors, they kind of snowball themselves, right? The more collectors you have, the easier it is to put collectors down. At that point, Woody was just playing kind of like the attrition game, right? He's constantly been taking down, forcing Balraj to play those collectors defensively.
His cycle was 1, 2. It was skeleton, zap. Or sorry, not zap. Sometimes zap, but it was skeletons, cannon, princess, mortar.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all he kept playing. It was like mortar, princess, cannon, skeletons, over and over and over again. And that's what, like 11 elixir?
Yeah.
That's a really cheap cycle.
Yeah. Especially in double elixir time.
An average cycle is like
cheap.
14 elixir, so to do 10 or 11 is very, very good. And
kind of plus you already have the elixir collectors pumping you extra elixir to cycle faster.
And we see what an incredibly good technical player can do with skeletons. Like we're seeing why skeletons get nerfed, right?
Yeah.
He held off barbarians and stuff with that card.
It's crazy. I mean, it was a very good strategy. So we've seen Woody's second deck. That's the poison rocket cycle version of his siege deck without the collector.
And no Inferno Tower this time either.
Yeah.
I think what you're going to see is going to be funny. I think you're going to see Woody rocket some Baby Dragon Lava Hound combos, right? Like the Lava Hound moves so slow and all the stuff behind it's going to build up that I could see some gross rockets, especially if Balraj doesn't know that Woody has them.
Yeah. So what's interesting to me actually is that I feel like what really kept Woody in the last game was his combination of Zap, Fireball, and the fact that he put pressure on Balraj with the collectors. He doesn't have any of those elements right now. Like you said, Rocket is kind of the closest thing. He needs to get value rockets on everything. But the two
Balraj pushes it. This is open. They both have it in their opening hand. Oh, and Balraj puts it in the middle. If that was on the corner, if that was on either corner, Woody would have absolutely clown-towned him with Rocket. So great placement by Balraj. I guess I don't know if he's worried about Miner or just worried about Rocket or what, but he clearly is, not walking into it.
Yeah. Cycled with the goblins and is going to do
lots
an
of big
interesting
arrows.
push. But no.
I think he's want to see what could happen there. The unfortunate part, well, actually, the unfortunate part for Balraj is that between the minion horde and the rocket, it's going to be really hard to get these big Lava Hound pushes together. But Balraj does have a lot of good air units that Woody doesn't have a lot of answers to air cards.
Yeah,
especially not in this version.
And the Baby Dragon plus the Lava Hound continues to be problematic, I think.
What's interesting is you don't really want to play the minion horde into the Baby Dragon, right? Because if it turns and fights you, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. Oh my
goodness. The barbarians into the poison. I mean, there's not a lot of time left in the poison, but I'll take it. I don't know. That was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like he could have. Maybe I don't know if he had Princess Hand, but I think
the minions are going to do a ton of damage here.
Why not even cannon there against barbarians? Like I wonder why he felt like he had to rocket it because he had cannon, and cannon's going to be great against those barbarians.
Yeah.
And even kind of good against minions, right? Because it tanks for him and the towers kill it. A lot of damage taken by Woody on that one.
Yeah. That's.
I don't know if that was the right rocket.
Not sold. I would agree. And
it actually, him playing the rocket allowed, not only signaled that, hey, rocket's coming up, but allowed Balraj to get a collector out safely and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. He doesn't have to worry about that rocket coming out for quite a while.
This princess, if it hits, will do some splash damage to the collector, but it's not going to happen because the Lava Hound will tank it now.
Yeah. Arrows?
Yeah, that's good. And that's a huge arrows, too, because it takes out...
Yep.
I don't know if Balraj is setting that up on purpose or if Woody's just kind of like not used to Lava Hound decks and falling into it. But there's been twice now that huge arrows have put Woody behind. And given that he's trying to play like an elixir advantage kind of game, it's really tearing him up.
The poison does pretty well.
That
Takes
was a
down,
great poison.
yeah, takes down the Lava Hound and the pups. That's gonna save Woody a lot of damage. But Balraj used that opportunity to get a second elixir collector down. And
This thing can take a few shots on the tower, maybe one.
there it is.
But at what cost? Woody's kind of split his very meager damage between both.
There's the poison again, committed. Oh, huh. That's interesting for elixir collector positioning.
That's why he wants him to both sit in the poison, and then also he can get his minion hordes out. But
Yeah.
the problem is, minion horde is just not going to be good in a deck with, against a deck with Ice Wizard and minions and their own minion horde and Baby Dragon.
Yeah.
Like, he relies on minion horde to be the Inferno Tower. That it's just not. He can't do it, right? Like
Yeah.
it dies to arrows. It dies to. There's like 4
Yeah.
cards in his
Oh,
deck that
no,
kill
this
minion horde
is-
easily.
This is trouble.
Yeah, buddy. I think Woody. I don't know. Ooh, this push is looking real strong right here.
And they all tagged onto the Baby Dragon, like you said. Finally, the Baby Dragon goes down, but it's looking really tough.
Yeah, the problem here is that even though Woody could get some damage here, the way that deck is structured is that you want to consistently put damage on throughout the course of the game. It's not a deck that can realistically just do like a 3,000 damage push all at once. It's a mortar deck, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of am thinking Balraj is pretty close to taking this game out just because, yeah, what do you play against Lava Hound? Even if the Lava Hound only does 200 damage per push,
Yeah.
well, he can do 3 of them, right, and win
Yeah.
the game before mortar can kill him.
Yeah, it's
Especially with
just been-
poison.
This is so tough just because there's so many tanky units, and the elixir collector has constantly been attracting the attention of the mortar. Woody is finding it very, very difficult to just get any damage down.
And I think he's just dead to direct damage now. He's got zap and arrows in the deck. That it might take like 2 arrows or whatever,
Yeah.
2 arrows of zap, but I think he's got it. This mortar, he could probably ignore it, and I don't think it would ever do the full damage to the tower.
Yeah, I don't think it would either. And this is what we were talking about, cannon against Lava Hound.
Yeah, so this is why, if you're wondering why they buffed Lava Hound's damage, that's your answer right there. Although this push is looking pretty good here from Woody.
Oh no!
Oh my god, that minion horde is definitely enough to kill it. What's going on here? Oh, wait, he puts it. Oh, it holds it off. Okay.
There's a rocket! Rocket?
There's a rocket coming. Is it enough to do it? Oh, no! Oh, Balraj! Ah! That was, hey, we had counted Woody out minutes ago. And a well-timed, so what happened there was Balraj cast his arrows to kill the princess, and immediately Woody responded with a minion horde to push the damage onto him. Just, wow. Wow. Let's pull up game 3 of that series. I just can't believe so Balraj takes game 2, and it's tied 1-1. And let's see. We're going into game 3 here. Now, remember, Balraj has seen both of Woody's decks now. Woody does not know what Balraj's other deck is, and we're about to find out. It is another Lava Hound deck. So he had a Lava Hound Dragon deck. Now he has Lava Hound Balloon. Very interesting. So Balraj is going big on Lava Hounds. Let's see, Lava Balloon. Before the last update came out and it introduced Lava Hound, I remember playing in like the dev build and streaming the new cards and saying Lava Hound Balloon is the hot deck. Like, it's so hard to deal with. I remember you talking about that. And it ended up not being as big of an impact in the game as I thought it was going to be, but Lava Hound Balloon is an unbelievable push that's so hard to deal with.
Yeah. So there it is. Lava Hound Balloon.
Game 3. Once again, though, I'm a believer in Rocket. Like, that first couple of rockets that Woody cast last game wasn't very good, but I can easily see rocketing like a Lava Hound Balloon or a Valkyrie Balloon or all sorts of things like that.
Yeah.
So here we go. Game 3, third match. The winner of this game goes on to the top 4, wins at least $40 and up to $200, and earns 250 super magical points for next week's Invitational.
Yep.
Very exciting.
Woody starts out with a mortar. Oh, nice.
He's got the minions. Now, interesting here, though, Balraj's this version of the deck does not run arrows. It's running Zap instead. So while Zap did a good job at, bringing him down and make sure he doesn't going to take any damage, it didn't just auto-kill them. They were still able to be a good defensive card.
Oh, it does.
Oh, it does! The second one!
Nice. Okay, skeletons.
Skeletons.
Look at how much it's delaying. Just the comp. That's 3 elixir. That's a 3 elixir defense.
Oh, they almost killed the
elixir
Ice Wizard.
push.
Yeah.
That's
Skeletons are pretty strong, especially against cards like Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Musketeer with really slow attack speeds. So he's setting up the mortar cannon. Here comes Barbs. We put skeletons in the way.
poison?
Just thinking about it. I think just maybe. I think you probably just You take the damage. He clearly is trying to cycle back.
Yeah, the skeletons would have been by far the ideal.
They weren't in his hand. Yeah. So, you know what? Balraj, I'd say, is already in a really bad situation. We've talked about how this deck is one thing that wants to consistently do damage from the start of the game, cannot really recover if it falls too far behind, and here we are in a world where Balraj is already down to like maybe 1100 after this poison, and hasn't done any damage to Woody's tower. Literally not 1 point of damage to a tower. There it is. The Ice Wizard is the first bit. So Woody's strongly ahead, but we saw last game how Balraj was able just to grind out and really stop mortars. Like, even from right now, if Balraj kind of gets on point, could probably stop another mortar shell from really hitting him if he starts playing really tight. Oh, I forgot about the collector rocket. So actually, Balraj is never going to be able to get out a collector.
The thing is, when Balraj plays his elixir collectors to defend against the mortar, Woody is like, sure, I'll just play my mortar into it. Then when Balraj is like, okay, I'm done with that, I'm going to play in the back, Woody's still like, no, you're still not going to have a collector.
Now, interesting, if you notice those barbarians come up at the very last minute, I don't know the exact timing, but when you think about the 4-second deploy time instead of the 5-second deploy time, I wonder if that mortar would have locked onto the tower instead of those late cast barbarians.
Exactly. The difference of a second is especially in elixir tense situations.
There's the first balloon.
The cannon's in the way.
Drags it, but what's attacking, right? Like everything else is attacking. Oh, and he rockets the balloon.
He wants none of that.
And actually kept the cannon significantly alive to allow it to fight a little bit. Double princess here. Balraj's deck has no way to kill a princess. There's no arrows, fireball, poison, nothing in that deck. Just zap.
Yeah.
So it looks like Woody's going to is starting to get out multiple princesses.
Yep, and the big thing we noticed, the Valkyrie does get there, is that once the princesses get to the bridge, the Valkyrie play takes them all out. But as they're walking up, it makes it so difficult to play anything down the lane.
That balloon did kill the mortar, I guess, but the mortar had already killed the elixir collector. I don't know how good that was.
The rocket? Really. Play the rocket! Play the rocket in the game.
And the rocket, I think, I just wanted to play it a little safer. I know it's not enough, that's why. That's why. I was like, maybe there's something up here. 400's a lot. There you go. Woody takes it 2-1 with 2 different mortar decks to go to the top 4, his 6th top 4 out of 9 events. What
You can't stop him.
What do you do with this guy?
You can't stop him.
So he's going to fight Interlol in the next match. Interlol, for remind you guys, is running a giant balloon deck and a hog cycle deck. We're going to watch the last match of the top 8, then we will live spectate the top 4. We'll close the raffle after the top 8. Overlord versus Pompeo.
Exciting match. I mean, we've had so many great matches in the top 8 so far, and we're closing out the top 8 with one more super exciting one.
Pompeo, deck 1,
I believe
deck 2.
This is the first game. Let me just double check to make sure. Okay.
And Overlord.
All right, and just as a reminder, guys, after we're done with this series between Overlord and Pompeo, we'll be closing out the raffle. Exclamation mark, raffle, space, answer the question, what is your playstyle? Beatdown, control, or siege, and why? So go ahead and get ready for that. Buckets of gems awarded to 3 winners. And
in case you're wondering, we can actually look at the top 8 here. I would say Interlol's a control player. Ido's probably a beatdown player, right? You got Hog Cycle and Golem Poison. That's a very beatdown-y set. So Ido's definitely a beatdown player. Interlol, I think, might strike me as more of a control player, especially like the giant balloon deck, like very defensive, very whatever. And you just kind of counterattack with that sort of stuff. Woody is obviously the quintessential siege player, playing double mortar every single week. So let's get into this Overlord Pompeo match.
Yep, let's jump into
No
the match
way!
preview.
No way, another Lava Hound deck! How many Lava Hound decks are in the top 8? Let's write them down. So Overlord is playing Lava Hound. Just Lava. I mean, it's just a Lava Hound deck, right? It's not like Lava Balloon or Lava Baby Dragon. It's playing pretty recognizable support cards around it.
It's kind of the Pompeo version of it.
It actually looks exactly like the Pompeo version of this deck. Actually, this might be exactly like this might be a mirror match later on.
The teacher versus the student.
It's very possible Overlord picked up this deck from Pompeo. Let's say.
Pompeo, son, now is your day to die.
And Pompeo's running the Hog Cycle as the other one.
Yeah, Hog Cycle. Interesting that he's opening up with the Hog Cycle freeze. And he's so good. Just as I have to take he's so good at the freeze.
Let's get it, man. I want to see the top 4. I'm excited. I'm antsy.
All right.
This game happened 30 minutes ago. I want to see the results.
Yep. Here we go.
Oh, and just for everyone watching, next week will be the Invitational or the top 16 players. It's not going to be an open next week. It's just going to be that. We are going to start running opens the week after, starting again in July, and it's going to be bigger and better than ever before. We're trying to get more people in the tournaments. We're trying to get higher prizes. We're going to redo our overlay and all of the stuff, and just really, like, Season 2 of Super Magical Cup is going to blow your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking forward. Big thanks to all the people who are viewing. We have 420 viewers.
420 viewers might be the highest amount of viewers we've ever had.
Yeah, so really, really thankful for all you guys tuning in and supporting us and kind of growing with us. I mean, I'm sure there are a ton of viewers who have been here from the start, and they can tell you how much, we've kind of changed the format and taken feedback and kind of really looked at how to generate good competitive Clash Royale matches. And
honestly, I've been super impressed with this. I mean, Mini P.E.K.K.A, by the way, is showing off its defensive prowess against Hog Riders.
Yeah.
I've been really impressed with the quality of play in this event. I wasn't here week 1, but I joined a little bit through, and this is far and away the highest quality Clash Royale tournament in the community. Like, every single week, we just see the top players impressing us with new decks, new plays, week after week. So follow our YouTube channel. Follow us today here on Twitch.
Yeah, definitely follow the YouTube, because we're starting to put out high-level matches that you guys can use in place of your last loss of TV Royale.
Yeah, I missed TV Royale, so we're starting SMC TV. Yep. So far, it's been actually some pretty good back and forth. I really like that both players have been able to get elixir collectors out. That freeze seems really strong, actually. That Hog Rider is going to get up there with about half health left, but the goblins were played very quickly and prevent it from getting more than one attack. This Ice Wizard is going to kill everything.
Yep.
Every single one of these things dying to the Ice Wizard.
Great choice to put it down. I almost feel like both players are kind of bowing to each other and saying, like, here, you play the Elixir Collector, I'll play an Elixir Collector, now you play one.
This is why, though, I would never play a deck without Fireball, Poison, or Miner.
Yeah.
I hate people collecting Elixir in my games. I really try to go out of my way to make sure that I disrupt Elixir Collector play.
Okay.
I like the minions and the zap. Oh, he has, zap minions, yeah, I think Pompeo did great.
Freeze!
Oh, no! Oh, that's right, so he's letting the, wow, I think Pompeo actually just had a great... He won both, right? He won the defense and the offense at the same time.
Yeah, and he knew it. The instant he saw that Lava Hound get to the bridge, he was like, I'm going for my hog push here, and I still have elixir enough to play the Inferno Towers. Hey, guess why I have that elixir? Because I've got 3 collectors down.
Overlord also should know at this point that Pompeo has an Inferno Tower and not play the Lava Hound without some answer for it, right? So if he drops it right now, okay, so he's got the minions. He even did the Pompeo play, right?
Yeah.
Of the minions. Pompeo has to fireball it first and then drop the Inferno Tower.
But Ice Wizard plus Inferno Tower, man, slowing down the Lava Hound and then forcing Lava Hound to take such a long time that he can gain back the elixir and then play the Inferno Tower and distract Lava Hound. Just perfect defense from Pompeo.
You can tell that he's played thousands of games. You know what I mean? Like,
he knows. He knows, man. He knows.
Once again, though, when neither deck has a way to deal with Princess, you eventually get into these problems of like multiple princesses building up. So Pompeo can fireball these two if he really wants to. Probably has to. Oh, Spirit Goblins can do it. Oh no!
Oh god!
You had to be sure. You couldn't be not sure. And then the goblins come down. Oh, the princess lives again!
It's the princess on the water. Look at
that.
that.
Look at that. She's floating.
That's the river dance.
I'm a big fan. You know what? Ladies in lakes distributing swords. It's a very reasonable form of government to me. Another fireball. Actually does not hit the Inferno Tower, but does hit the collector there and do a good amount of damage to it. I believe Pompeo only needs 2 more fireballs to win, and he's got 4 collectors to do it with.
He's just collecting.
They're just casting stuff at this point.
This looks like
and one attack maybe. Oh, the freeze takes it home.
Nope.
Hog freeze out of Pompeo.
There were so many. I just feel like this Pompeo versus Overlord, what we just saw right now, Pompeo just had so many interesting decisions and interactions. He's just constantly, I think, just playing one step ahead, one step ahead, one step ahead.
It was a very hard hard game to live commentate, because especially once they got 3-4 collectors out, they're playing things so fast, they're thinking at a rate faster than we can like keep up with commentary-wise.
Absolutely.
So Pompeo wins with his Hog Freeze deck. He cannot play his Hog Freeze deck now. He's got to play his Lava Hound deck.
It's the same.
And we've got it, folks. The Lava Hound mirror match. The Pompeo Lava Hound deck that everyone... I believe Pompeo popularized this deck. It's possible Overlord got it from him. We are seeing the first... I mean, we saw the first ever Lava Hound mirror match earlier. We are seeing an actual card-for-card mirror match here with what? Like, a lot of money at stake.
Yeah. You know, I'm actually trying to think. The last time we actually saw a
pure
real
mirror
card-for-card mirror match, I mean, maybe at some point when Miner...
It was the Miner Minion Horde. It was the Manu fan Miner deck.
Yeah, I think so. But I was going to say, like, that this, and then maybe all the way back to like Rocket Cycle Mortars.
Yeah, it's been the mortar deck was very similar. You see a lot of mortar mirrors. So let's get into it. So this will be interesting because Pompeo obviously has a lot more. He's kind of like the master of this Lava Hound deck. Let's see if he can win a mirror match against the student.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting because I wonder how these decks are. They both going to get out 4 collectors again? Because I don't think either of these decks are significantly better at fighting.
And they might just want that as like, okay, we're just gonna pump up to 4 elixir collectors and then we're gonna play.
This is just gonna come down to mechanical play because they both have Inferno Tower. They both know how to block the Inferno Tower. I don't know what that thing was for. I
think he wanted to cycle Princess.
Yeah, and
maybe.
He wanted to win the Princess duel.
Yeah.
But that Inferno Tower is just gonna die the rest of the time.
Oh no, and Pompeo knows it. He smells.
Yeah, it's gonna be dead by the time it gets up there. It's actually very smart by Pompeo because he would normally not play an elixir collector right now, but I think he senses, like you said, that like there's not gonna be another collector up by the time this Lava Hound crosses.
Yep. Your Pro Tower has a little bit of again.
And he's got the minions already, even if you do.
And the mini P.E.K.K.A.'s there. The minions are onto the Lava Hound.
Go mini P.E.K.K.A. Go mini P.E.K.K.A. 1! Oh no! 2! Oh no! 3!
Oh my God, it's done.
He's got his own mini P.E.K.K.A. He's not playing it.
It's done. That's 1 shot, 1 kill. Pompeo. Oh my God. I feel like, I haven't seen such pristine mini P.E.K.K.A. placement and play since Manufan when he first broke out his minor mini P.E.K.K.A. minion horde deck. But Pompeo twice in this tournament. The mini P.E.K.K.A. in the smoke of the poison. He got 1 big hit there, and this time he just pushed right through.
Whoop. And, Pompeo's not letting up, not switching to a defensive stance, just dropping another Lava Hound down. I think he's ready. Oh, wow! Look at that! They must have known! They knew what was up! Overlord's like, I've watched your games, buddy. I know how we're going to do this.
Interesting that he threw the goblins there on the right.
I'm not sure. I think Overlord might be...
Yeah.
Especially after his Lava Hound just got goofed there on that play. Yeah, he's saying good game.
It's so hard. At the higher levels, the instant you lose your tower in the first moments of the game, it's actually incredibly difficult to come back.
Especially in a deck, I think you could if it was like a Hog Cycle deck, right? But we're talking about decks that are really slow. Lava Hound takes forever. It costs a lot to cast, takes forever to get there.
50 seconds to make something happen.
I like that Overlord at least switched to the mini P.E.K.K.A. push, trying to get something done. Because theoretically, if you catch him off guard, you can get the mini P.E.K.K.A. down and do a lot of damage.
Well, technically, if you think about it, right, if Overlord were to be able to recreate the scenario that Pompeo did, Pompeo pushed down the tower in 1 go. But the question is, Pompeo is incentivized to play incredibly tanky, incredibly defensively. Is Pompeo really going to take the risk that Overlord did that opened him up for that situation?
Yeah.
Oh my God, mini P.E.K.K.A. plus the lava pups, and it's gonna make it through.
Oh no, he's gonna do it again.
Oh my God.
That mini P.E.K.K.A. is just causing nightmares. So here we go. We are 15 seconds away from our top 4 being locked. We can close the raffle and move on to it. But I am like blown away by the way that Pompeo was able to manhandle someone playing the exact same deck as him.
I think precision is the best word to describe Pompeo. Precision in his freeze, precision in his Lava Hound P.E.K.K.A., precision in his Inferno Tower, placing the minions in front of the Lava Hound to block the Inferno. Everything about Pompeo's play is all about precision, and he is demonstrating exactly why he is such a well-regarded player and very strong. So he's now in the top 4. Our leaderboard is looking very, very interesting, Rumham. Things are changing up right before the invitationals.
Pompeo is at least gonna, I mean, if he wins 1 more, he's definitely getting an invite, but I think all these top 4 players might make it. Interlol, definitely I'm excited to see.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's close out this raffle. The question is, what is your playstyle beatdown controller siege and why? So I'm going to go ahead and draw the winners, closing the raffle, and we're going to breeze through all of this. Undead_gamer16 says Giant, Sparky, and Witch, but did not provide a reason.
That's a beatdown, buddy. That's a beatdown. I'll give it to him.
That's a beatdown. Yep. So Giant, Sparky, and Witch, and that's only gonna get better. After the 21st.
Oh man, I got my chest. My timer was up.
You got your chest?
No, I'm saying I had to open my app because my timer was up.
Go ahead. Oh man, I wish you could do this live and have you get a legendary live.
I had 2 giant chests. I've been saving 2 giant chests for the next update, whenever that hits.
Nice.
I want whatever the new card is.
Dow Carl is the next winner, and he says, I play control, so you can judge how much elixir you use defending and be able to add that to your push to have an advantage to your push.
Dow Carl is the original control player. That is exactly what you want to do. Like, a good control play, for example, would be not to play something like cannon against Hog Rider, but actually like Musketeer.
Yeah.
And you let the Hog Rider maybe do like 2 swings on your tower, but the Musketeer kills it, and then you have 4 Elixir on the board to counterattack with.
Yeah.
Big downside of cards like cannon is they never fight back. Like,
Exactly.
you might stop the Hog Rider, but you never actually win the game with the cannon, right?
Yep, absolutely. Sparky King is going to be our last winner for the
King.
question. And he says, beat down. I want to get those 3 crown wins with my Sparky deck. Beat down and Sparky. I almost think that Sparky is more of a control card, but it seems like the idea that it does so much damage is just so beat down oriented that it's kind of interesting. Sparky.
I mean, I think if you do the full, like, the giant wizard Sparky, that's like pretty beat downy, right?
Yeah.
It's certainly not like, I'm just gonna sit back here and like.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm ready to live spectate the top 4. I am woo. So it's about 2:20 here on the West Coast. If you're still tuning in, thanks for watching this whole time. I think we'll be done in less than an hour. Normally the top 4 takes about 30, 45 minutes. So you've toughed through 2.5 hours of some of the best Clash Royale play you're ever going to see. And we've got the highest quality stuff yet. All 4 of these players have really proven themselves. A lot of cool decks. Just before we get into it, let me just wrap up the Interlol is playing a Hog Cycle and Giant Balloon deck. Woody is playing a Mortar Collector deck and a Mortar Rocket deck. Ido is playing a Hog Cycle deck and a Golem Poison deck. And Pompeo is playing Lava Hound and Hog Cycle with Freeze. So we have a pretty good selection of decks here in the top 4. I'm excited.
So I'll be just as the semis are going on, I'm going to open the second to last raffle. So we have 2 more. We have 1 for the semis and 1 for the finals. So we have 2 more raffles to go. I'll open this last one, and the second to last one. And the question is, what legendary card do you most wish you have? What legendary card do you most wish you have? Go ahead and ! raffle space answer that question.
The next one they release. Oh! No, okay, no.
Oh God.
I wish I had Miner. Miner's actually my lowest level card of even if you account for legend, you know what I mean? Like for some reason, Miner's appeared twice in my shop. I bought them, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah.
I got 1 from a thing. I have a level 3 out of 4. It's like level 2, 3 out of 4. And I just cannot.
Oh no, we missed a large portion of this game.
Oh no! Oh my gosh! I forgot we're live spectating and they just started. That's totally our bad. So this is game 1 of Woody Interlol.
Yeah.
Looks like Interlol took an early hog push, if I had to guess, and knocked down a lot of that tower. Now, since we're live spectating, we actually have the unique live spectator interface, which is
yeah. We've got.
You don't see the cards in their hand. We see all 8 cards in their deck, and then when they cast a card, it highlights that little individual one.
Yep. So that'll be pretty interesting. We won't exactly know what cards they have in their cycle, but nice.
So I think Interlol's playing very, very good control, right? He's sitting back, like not really trying to be too aggressive here. That hog push obviously did a lot of work, and I think that he feels like he can just sit back.
Princess goes to the right.
Nope.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we'll go to the right.
He evaded it. And now he actually has the opportunity to play a collector, maybe,
and
if he wants.
The poison could have been played a little more in, too, which is the unfortunate part. He's using the cannon right there. I don't know if he's using it to set up a mortar. Doesn't have a lot of elixir right now. The big thing is that Interlol's way ahead. I don't know what happened early, but or if it's just Interlol taking advantage of good positive trades, but I feel like Interlol has so much more elixir right now than Woody that it's very difficult for him to actually get something going.
Zap. There we go. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Good defense. And this is just textbook versus mortar play right here.
Yeah, the big downside about Woody being such a known mortar player is that once you get into these sort of matchups where you know what your opponent's playing, people can go into the match and before they ever draw their opening hand, they know it's a mortar deck.
Yeah, and that changes how the opening interaction is, right? You don't need to really necessarily scout as much.
Look at that great minion horde, though. They're pushing in, they're cleaning stuff up. The poison killed his princess, and even though Interlol was ahead in elixir this whole game, Woody is not taking no for an answer! Is the skeletons coming down? Wow! What happened?
Is it a siege deck? That looked really beat down.
Yeah, man, that's what happens when you're not allowed to bring your Inferno Tower to both decks. Sometimes you gotta run the minion horde.
No.
Here we go. It's gonna return the favor here. That should take down the tower, and here we are.
Goodness.
Those 2. Oh, the princess doesn't get her shot off.
What?
She was thinking about it, but couldn't quite get there. And there goes the hog down the other side. He's gonna use the mortar to defend. Unfortunately, the hog does skip the mortar, but those skeletons do a pretty good amount of damage. I wonder what it'll look like when there's only 3 of them.
Yeah, only 3 of them.
Princess goes down to poison. I like that play. I mean, I think that you have to at least understand that you can't let the princesses get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's a good bite.
Oh,
wow, I like that cannon in front of the hog. I mean, I don't think he meant to do that.
It's actually better for the hog player to play that way. when you have that tower down, you have an advantage in terms of your enemy's territory.
range, yeah.
Yeah, and having your hog be right next to the tower, because most of the damage the hog takes is while it's traveling to the cannon.
But I actually, look at this. Woody's gotten ahead in Elixir. He was behind in Elixir the whole game, and now suddenly he's ahead, and I'm not sure what happened. Oh, he missed the princess again. He missed the princess.
And this is,
but he's still going to walk through it. Okay, yeah. Still, though, I think he would have infinitely rather had. Oh, wow, I like the cannon on the cannon play. And then the zap goes there, hits 2 of the skeletons, but not all the skeletons. This is crazy. Interlol and Woody are playing. Then they shockingly like back and forth chip damage game. These are both very fast, very high reaction speed players that are really putting the heat on each other. I love that poison. I like that he was able to distract the minion horde away, so the minion horde didn't do any damage.
Beware of the cannon. There it is.
There it is.
It's actually put pretty close.
Yeah, a little too close. Oh, and the zap hits both the skeletons in. This might be the game right here. I don't really. Oh, yeah. I don't think he meant to place those cannons back there.
Swing.
The thing is that Hog Rider decks actually have a really hard time taking the second tower because the king tower is chipping in damage.
It hurts a lot, and you almost need to play kind of the mini P.E.K.K.A. and the hog.
Wow, and
like
that's it right there.
Exactly
oh, and he takes it.
Oh,
the mini P.E.K.K.A. locks on. Wow, Interlol takes game 1 over Woody.
Oh my god, and I can't believe I was just talking about that.
That was some very high end play. I think the difference in that game, honestly, as bad as it sounds, is those 2 missed poisons on the princesses.
Yeah.
If Woody had hit the princess, not only would he have done, I think, a little more, saved some elixir, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that it would have ended up being a little bit more damage over the course of the fact the princess is like killing the things that are attacking the tower. If the princess is dead, he gets more damage on the tower and thus could maybe have won that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man.
Can Woody come back and win 2 in a row? We'll see. Interlol only needs to take 1 more game. Now, he just won with his Hog Cycle deck, so he has to take 2 games against a Mortar deck with Giant Balloon. 1 has Rocket, 1 has Inferno Tower.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be very interesting.
It'll be very interesting. We've seen it in the top 4 a couple times in the past where somebody goes down 1-0 and ends up turning it around.
All right, we're in game now. And,
so we don't know. So right now we don't know. We do know that Woody is playing obviously a Mortar deck. We do know that Interlol's playing a Giant Balloon deck. So let's see what happens. Does Interlol have an Elixir Collector in his opening hand? Does not. Oh, does. Does cast it, but way up in the middle. Not interested in getting rocketed.
Okay, he's gonna win this Princess duel.
Is it fast enough? Oh! That was a fast enough fireball to save. If it was even a split second slower, that princesses would have killed each other. I don't know if he even needed to zap there. I think I might have been willing to take the damage. We'll see.
Possibly, yeah, definitely.
Because it's all well, actually, no.
You have the. I mean,
it depends.
now you don't have the zap to protect your mortar. You know?
Is he going to rocket this right now? He's going to Inferno Tower. Now he doesn't have the zap, which he could probably use right now. One of the big things mentioned by Interlol. Interlol is a level 3 balloon.
Oh yeah, that's. Do you
now
think
will
it
that
one
balloon?
shot that tower?
Will that? I'm not sure if it will or not, but it's definitely not going to make it to the Elixir Collector. Oh, it actually does. The splash bomb. That's good because you only need to do a little bit of damage to take 1 pump off.
Yeah.
So that took 1 Elixir pump off of that collector.
Yeah, but now Interlol really needs to think about, okay, what am I gonna do about this Inferno Tower, right? Because Giant Balloon is very, very 2 big bodies.
Oh, the princess gets goofed.
My goodness.
And actually, that 1 minion's out of range if you look at it, though.
Yeah.
And it gets 1 more shot on the tower. But really, Woody is kind of like a Hog Rider deck, right? You don't want 1 shot per mortar. You're really hoping on. Like 1 mortar getting 3, 4, 5 shots in, and that's really what you need.
Absolutely. You want to play your opponent dry of options and then have that mortar just be the result of the interaction.
Each shot's only about 10%. So like it's good to get 1 shot, but you don't really want to cast 10 mortars over the course of the game. You'd like to have less. But here comes a giant, not touched yet. I'm not sure what Woody's going to play.
Protect it. No, he just let it happen.
Oh, the minions.
I think everybody needs to go look at Pompeo play.
Not protecting it?
Yeah,
got it.
Just start protecting your big bodies.
Yeah.
And I mean, this positioning on the Inferno Tower is like, I would venture to say pretty bad, pretty misguided.
Yeah, it was a little too far up.
Yeah, you can definitely just play the minion right before your giant and draw aggro.
Oh, I like that he's got the mortar kind of help. Oh, hit the princess! Oh, mortar! Mortar does 1 hit princess, and that is one of the definitely. Oh, I like how he pulled the balloon backwards. If you noticed that.
Yeah. That was good. That was great.
And it looks like those. It looks like those minions are not going to do too much damage because the giant was nearly dead at that point.
Yeah.
Interesting. But Woody's taking some damage.
Yeah, Interlol has been kind of getting a few small hits in here and there. I mean, the balloon has not made a connection, but the small supporting units have kind of done a little bit of chip.
And Princess just killed the skeletons, which is going to really come back to haunt.
There we go. The balloon You're free.
Oh!
You're free, balloon. No, the cannon. Very nice, and it's gonna go to the Inferno Tower now, and now it has to go all the way back to the tower. It's gonna go for the
the collector in the middle.
This balloon is like.
But at the same time, I actually really like how, even though it's not getting damage on the tower, it's forcing Woody to spend a lot of elixir. And if you notice, Interlol is slowly taking advantage in the game. It's slowly getting ahead because he's splitting the damage up. I feel like Woody is spending more than 10 elixir to stop these 10 elixir pushes and not really pushing his own damage through. He's spending way too much time on defense.
Yeah. 2 minions are going to try to do as much work as they
Wow,
can.
but that Inferno Tower started doing work. The problem is that Elixir Collector in the middle is not only absorbing a lot of shots, but taking like, you know, it's like still making 2 to 3 elixir.
Yeah, it just gave him another pump, and he's going to have another elixir collector down now.
You can see how it feels to not have Rocket, and Woody's not able to get out his collectors. I'm not really sure why.
Nice.
He stopped.
Skeletons in front in prediction of the Inferno Tower. He's starting to do
it.
He's beginning to
Interlol's
believe.
taking it out. I'm not sure what's going to kill this balloon. He doesn't have a
There's
rocket
no
in this
elixir
deck.
collector. Oh,
And
no!
there's the arrows goes down.
The cannon.
Is he going to zap it maybe?
I
Oh,
mean-
the 2 towers in the middle,
Oh
both shooting
my
the balloon, or at
goodness.
least going to hold some time off. Oh no, and the skeletons! He waited just a little too long. Maybe he did that on purpose, but I can't imagine that was the goal because it takes so long. Okay, so he zaps the princess to make it retarget and it gets killed. But I feel like Woody is really starting to stumble now. I don't know how he's going to do. Well, actually, no, he doesn't have rocket, so he can't do 900 damage.
Oh my goodness.
No, that 1 minion!
Oh my god! One more swing.
Oh, Interlol, the 1 minion. You know what's funny? 1 minion haunted Woody a couple times in this tournament because if you remember earlier, that 1 minion that got zapped wasn't in the tower range and wasn't getting attacked and chipped down some stuff. Woody making a 6 top 4 gets 2-0'd by Interlol, making his first finals. Congratulations, Interlol, on
first
2
or
weeks
second.
of very shocking performance. Interlol went from if you look on the thing here, not even on the top 16 to one of the top placing people.
Yeah,
he has
yeah,
at
he's
least
in the
500
Invitational.
points plus the 100 or 250 from last week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh man. All
Woody.
game long, Woody was making Interlol's balloon look like that taxi driver that I get when I go visit like Vietnam or something.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
he's just like, I'm gonna make some
Rickshaw
money
just
off
going
of you.
everywhere. Yeah.
But
Taking
then
the
that
long route.
1 minion made it happen.
So let's watch. Next up, we have Pompeo, Ido, in the other best of 3 top 4 match. Hog Cycle Golem Poison against Lava Hound Hog Freeze.
So the big question on my mind, right, is, okay, Interlol has not played either of these 2 names, Pompeo or Ada. We have not, of course, they haven't met each other in tournament, and I don't think we've ever seen any previous footage of these guys playing
Correct.
against each other. How will they interact? How will Interlol's Giant Balloon and Hog Cycle face up against something like Pompeo's Lava Hound decks? It's a very interesting question.
So we've seen the least of Ido. We watched a little bit of Pompeo in the group play.
Yeah.
We obviously watched Interlol Woody a bit. So Ido, to me, is the biggest wild card in this tournament. We don't really know how he plays, what sort of detailed plays we're going to see made here. But we do know that Pompeo is an exceptional strategic player. Can usually see 2 to 3 cards ahead and make decisions on that. Even there, like that single 3-cost minion probably earned so much elixir.
Yeah, that was an interesting, and maybe it was Ido again.
You just don't know, right? He's trying to cycle a mini P.E.K.K.A.
I think he was a player again that tried to zap the minions on the princess, but like the minions would still survive.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't know why he zapped him, to be honest. Just let your mini P.E.K.K.A. die.
Yeah, interesting.
Not too bad. So that mini P.E.K.K.A.'s come with full health. Ido just goes down to 5, so he has less to defend with. He's going to try and defend, I guess, with his cannon, maybe some goblins?
I think the cannon's good enough.
Yeah, it's true. If you get the other tower shooting in, too.
Yeah, right now Ado is playing step
You know what's
behind.
interesting to think about? After this hit point nerf, I think mini P.E.K.K.A. 1 hits a cannon.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
huge, right? That makes
Yeah,
mini
that
P.E.K.K.A. pushes
is really-
pretty reasonable.
I mean, mini P.E.K.K.A. is oftentimes in combination with Hog Rider. If you
Yeah.
have the mini P.E.K.K.A. leading and it'll one-shot the cannon, then a Hog Rider is free to go straight to the tower.
And we're seeing why minions are played so much now. Like, Zap just doesn't do enough against them.
Not again! Not again! Oh no!
Oh, here it comes, mini P.E.K.K.A. This is the most powerful card. It's not the Lava
It's
Hound. The
gonna
Lava
get
Hound's the
maybe
tank.
2, 3
1,
swings.
2,
Oh,
3!
Oh,
Oh,
Pompeo! Again! One more time, Pompeo. I mean, I think Pompeo is, at least in my eyes, he's taking the title away from Manufan right now. Manufan was
Number
what I
one mini
deemed-
P.E.K.K.A.?
Yeah, Manufan was what I deemed to be the mini P.E.K.K.A. ninja, but now I think I'm rooting for Pompeo now. I think Pompeo is the new mini P.E.K.K.A. ninja.
That's, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say, right? Like, mini P.E.K.K.A. has been the star of the show in a lot of these Lava Hound decks because the Lava Hound itself doesn't do much. It just holds the tower up for a minute,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah.
here comes another Lava Hound. Looks like Pompeo is going for the 3 crown, not trying to take the second tower as much. I think he's pretty confident in his ability to put so much pressure on Ido's left side that Ido can't push. And maybe the other strategic thing that Pompeo's doing here is he feels like if he attacks the right side, then Ido can defend and counter push on the weaker side. This way, at least, if you're defending and against the Hog Rider, you're going up against a full health tower.
He's more incentivized to drop on the left than the right. The other thing, too, is pushing up the left side provides you a much safer option, much longer range to start adding in units and changing the ordering of how they come in because of the extended drop zone.
And he hits them at full health mini P.E.K.K.A. though.
Oh, the zap!
One!
It's a 3 crown! It's
2!
A 3 crown!
No, the mini P.E.K.K.A. is attacking a Valkyrie now.
No, it's gotta go down. Oh, it took down the mini P.E.K.K.A.
He has another mini P.E.K.K.A. Yeah, this might still be a 3 crown, but it's not quite there yet. The lava pup is still doing work. 8 seconds left. Princess, 1 shot, not gonna make it.
I think
2 shots.
Is this the first 3 crown we've seen in Super Magical Cup? No, the time ran out.
No one has ever 3 crowned someone in the top 4 that I can remember. Maybe they have.
I'm
not sure.
Have. Yeah, definitely not even in the top 8. I don't think.
Oh, Pompeo takes game 1 of the top 4 matchup. Ido has 2 chances to come back. Now, Pompeo played his Lava Hound deck, his namesake famous Lava Hound deck, that he is no longer able to play. Yeah. So if he wants to make the finals, he needs to win. At least 1, maybe 2, whatever, with Hog Freeze. He's got to win a game with Hog Freeze. Ido has to win 2 in a row. We'll see what Ido ends up playing. I think Ido probably wants to play Hog Cycle, not the Poison. At some point, Ido's going to have to win a game with the Golem Poison deck against the Hog Freeze deck, and that seems like a terrible matchup to me. Yeah. But we'll see what happens. I think right now, Ido wants to win a Hog Mirror match if he can help it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, nice.
It might be Golem, though. Looks like it's a Golem Poison deck.
They bow to each other, do the honors of both playing the Collector. Oh, Pompeo's Execution is a good spell. Does he have a fireball? I think you can shoot it so that it hits across the tower, right?
No.
No?
No. If it was like 1 click more in, maybe.
Ah, very interesting.
Not quite. Not with
nope.
Zap.
This is super awkward. The mini P.E.K.K.A.
Oh, the mini P.E.K.K.A. gets stopped!
Nice.
The spear gobbies!
The defense from Pompeo.
Yeah, that's incredible. And even though it did end up getting 1 shot on it, like at what cost? Is that tower not attacking the Ice Wizard? The Ice Wizard is literally the pixel out of range.
Yep.
And the goblins will take out, actually the other goblins and that. Wow!
Oh, no.
Pompeo, those goblins are doing work.
Yeah, you need to respect the deploy time. Because your units will get chewed up while they're just standing there. Lone Hog.
Pompeo is showing us that Freeze is still a powerful card on defense. Actually, that was very good, actually.
1.
4 for 4, I didn't like it.
2, 3.
He zapped, so that was, oh man.
God.
Ido is thrilled with that. Like, he spent 4 elixir, the other guy spent 6 elixir and still took 1,000 damage.
Yeah. So now you know, don't play a blanket freeze on 1 tower. I mean, maybe if it was taking 2 towers damage.
That also shows the downside of having only Inferno Tower as your defensive tower, because it costs so much more. It's hard to cycle it.
Inferno Tower, maybe? No, he's just going to fireball and going to take maybe 2 swings. Yeah, 2. Ido, he's looking pretty good. That's a lot of damage done for a Hog Cycle deck.
It's funny because since he doesn't have a lot of defense, he's using cannon as opposed to like barbarians and stuff. That freeze isn't as strong, and because he has Elixir Collector, he can sit back and not force himself into attacks.
Interesting that he just plays the Inferno Tower preemptively. This allows
mini P.E.K.K.A. 1 swing! Oh, he does get the 1 swing in. And here comes the Hog Rider going for the finishing kill.
He's got it.
He's got it, but there's 39 seconds left. Now, Pompeo absolutely, of course, can take a tower in the next 30 seconds. But, I like that the Hog Rider ended up taking some elixir off. Great cannon pulls to the middle. If you notice, both towers are attacking it.
Freeze is not in time.
Freeze isn't even that good in this situation because the left tower can still attack.
It's looking very troublesome for Pompeo. It's going to be very hard for him to make a win happen. Inferno Tower to block the Hog Rider. But the big thing about this game, I feel like, was just the fact that having that reliance on the Inferno Tower plus the freeze and being put on the defensive end of the momentum, you notice that Pompeo didn't have many opportunities to send the Hog Rider over to the other side at all. And I mean, Ido is playing the Hog Cycle with that cannon, which we talked about before in the pre-show. Cannon is what really holds Hog Cycle decks together. Yeah. And you can see exactly why.
I mean, I also think that not having Barbarians, for example, this deck really helped Ido. Having Mini P.E.K.K.A. and Ice Wizard are really good because you can just play Ice Wizard, and if they freeze, they're spending more on freeze than you spent on the Ice Wizard, and you're able to immediately, drop goblins or something else afterwards. It's hard to get a really good elixir efficient freeze.
So while we're firing this up, remember the raffle question is, what legendary card do you most wish you have? Exclamation mark raffle space answer the question. We'll be closing out that raffle question after this game. We're wrapping up the semifinals. Pompeo back to the wall against Ado, 1-1. Whoever loses here is out of the tournament.
I think Pompeo has a good matchup here, but of course anything can happen in a game of Clash Royale. I think that if I remember, ooh, wow.
Nice.
If I remember correctly, this is a Golem Poison deck, and I just don't know if Ido will be able to get out like 2 Elixir Collectors and a Golem and all that stuff without losing a tower.
Certainly did not help that the Collector is evidently not in his opening hand. The Hog Jump! No!
It missed it.
Hog jump!
The Skeletons come in. The Poison was even kind of a miss on Ido's part. I feel like he could have played it up a little closer to the tower, because there's that corner that's on the river, and it doesn't matter. Like, it could be 1 click higher, and it would still block the cannon and the tower.
1 minute into the match is the first Elixir Collector. That hurts.
That's really tough. It might have been the 8th card in his deck. We're not sure.
That hurts so much. Not having the Elixir Collector in the opening hand, while Pompeo did 2 Collectors up, plus he got damage on the tower. Now he's cycling. He can choose the option to make a big offensive push, which it seems like he is.
Let's see if this freeze hits. There it is. That is a brutal freeze. It's 7 Elixir plus the tower worth in there. And the Ice Wizard plus Spear Goblins can kind of help clean it up. Takes quite a bit more damage on his tower.
The pressure's on. Ado has no opportunity to reset this game and try for a different hand. He has to live with this 493 tower.
I believe that he can just let that happen, like lose that tower. If he needs to start playing a Golem really soon, though. Like, we need to see that Golem behind the King Tower, and he just needs to take a tower in one big push.
He is now up to 2 Elixir Collectors, so it is an option. I like the positioning he has for this, because that tower is so low. If he opts to use a Fireball, if Pompeo opts to Fireball that tower, Ado's just going to be grateful for that downside that spent Elixir.
I disagree with the side that he played the Golem on. I feel like Ido should have played it on the Collector side with all the other stuff. Maybe he gets Fireballed, and that's why he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But the problem I have here is that this can get counter pushed into your tower. If he did counter push in the right lane, he could have taken that tower down by like 1,500 health or more.
Oh no, the Mini P.E.K.K.A is getting caught behind the Golem. And I feel like if the Mini P.E.K.K.A had been played just a little bit earlier, it would have been really good. But he has...
Ooh, the Spear Goblins, though, are going to clean up those princesses, and I think this push might be able to do the last 245. I feel like Ido's chance was in that one push right there. And with that push being stifled, I just don't see how he can take a tower in the next 25 seconds.
Pompeo makes a case for why he is regarded as one of the best players in Clash Royale right now.
Absolutely.
And his first tournament participating at Super Magical Cup, he is demonstrating just immaculate execution, mechanics that I would say almost rival Woody's, you know? And precision choices on offense. Almost 3-crowning Ado.
Good game. Pompeo takes it 2-1, and we are going into the finals. Pompeo versus Interlol. This is the most lucrative Clash Royale match you're going to see this week. The winner takes home over $200 in prizes. Second place gets $100 plus for their effort. And of course, both players are going to receive 1,500 points in the Super Magical Cup Invitational. Both of these players have guaranteed their spot no matter what happens.
We're seeing Pompeo. I mean,
Pompeo will be here. I mean, ideally next week he can show up for the Invitational. Interlol certainly secured the spot. Woody takes the #1 spot on the leaderboard with his top 4 finish, if nothing else.
He was so close. I mean, you see the points right now; they're tied.
Let's close this raffle. Let's get the final one up, and I'm ready to see it. Don't request right now, and the mods they just don't start the battle quite yet. We're gonna close the raffle.
All right, so we're closing the raffle now. We're gonna draw our winners. Shendi says, Miner, because it makes the game really fun and fast. He likes the cycling. He really likes just being on the aggressive and converting your defensive cards into aggressive cards by letting the Miner tank for them. So the Miner is definitely a good choice. Let's go ahead and draw the next player. Max Rising says Princess because it just requires an action. It has been said many times, but it's true nonetheless. She deals infinite damage.
And it's true, Max Rising. That's my favorite thing to say about Princess. She does infinite damage if you don't deal with her, and she requires an answer. Yeah, I mean, like you have to do something. You have to arrow her, minion her, goblins, something, right? It's usually the best option is just wait till she shows up and kills you, and you're like, wait till she starts shooting at your tower and then kill her, and that's not.
Absolutely. Yeah. Super Gemmer says Miner because it has so much health. It's a very tanky unit, only 3 costs. It's a great card to have. So Miner, Princess, Miner. Those are the 3 legendaries that these guys wanted the most. One more question for the stream. And the last question is, the last raffle question as we're playing out these finals and closing out the tournament is going to be, who would you most like to see as a guest? on the Super Magical Cup, and why?
Yeah, who would you like to see as a guest on the Super Magical Cup is a really cool question we get to ask, because as the Super Magical Cup has gotten more and more popular within the Clash Royale community, we get reached out to by some of the other members, people who want to co-host or co-cast or whatever. Who would you love to see help co-cast and break down these tournaments with us? We're going to start having guest hosts every couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
So let us know who you'd be interested in seeing.
Absolutely. Really interested to see all those answers. And if you want to take that step further, even if your answer doesn't get read out, go ahead and feel free to tweet at your favorite Clash Royale YouTuber or Twitcher or streamer or kind of content creator, and say, hey, would love to see you at the Super Magical Cup. We really want to kind of involve more of the community with our tournaments.
And a lot of the community is already here already. I see Clash with Ash is normally sitting in chat watching each week. We have some of the biggest guilds like In the Light and Elite Nation. Those guys are here each week. It's a lot of really cool people have come by and watched every week, and I'm just really excited to see how this is going to grow. Season 2 is going to be nuts. It's going to be out of control. So I'm very excited about that in a few weeks.
Yeah. So with that, we close out the raffle and we open the final one. That will be closed at the end of this whole tournament, but we have a match to watch. It's going to be Pompeo versus Interlol, and they can't even wait. They're going.
Game 1 of the finals. So Interlol has either a Hog Cycle or Giant Balloon deck. Pompeo has either a Lava Hound or Hog Freeze deck.
Yep.
Looks like Interlol has the Hog Cycle. Pompeo is... I think this is the Lava Hound deck.
The Hog Rider is so slow. 3 swing, that's actually really good damage for an opening play. And that's one of the biggest, when you're playing a Hog Cycle, if you just right in the opening 6 Elixir, just throw out your combination.
What was with Pompeo casting that Hog Rider? Did he think, maybe he thought it was more dead than it was, but like that was a nearly full health cannon and he just cast a Hog Rider into it.
Yeah, and okay, Inferno Tower. And we already know that Interlol does respect Inferno Towers. He does make those adjustments, especially when he was playing his Giant Balloon deck.
Absolutely.
We'll see how he can deal with it with the Hog Rider. I think it's a little bit harder to manage, but it's possible.
So Pompeo does have his Hog Rider, his Hog Freeze deck, so we should be looking out for that critical freeze. It's one of the 2 cards that's not revealed, but we do know he has it.
Oh my god, the jump was super effective, and that Goblin tanked up. The goblins that allowed the Hog Rider to jump also sent one over to tank the Inferno Tower and made an opening happen.
Nice. And Interlol is doing great work at getting damage on the towers, but again, it's splitting them up, like one of the more dangerous things.
Oh, he couldn't do it. The positioning.
Yeah, I couldn't get all 3, which is why you usually want to play your princes on the outside for that reason. Playing them behind the King Tower when you have a center Elixir Collector is asking for trouble. But again, Pompeo's got 3 collectors out. He's back down to 2 again. Interlol's having a hard time sticking 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if that's
Pompeo has been making an effort to keep the Elixir Collectors down. So it's really paying off. It's about 200 damage there.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh.
So the double push there, and great minds think alike, and it's looks like it's gonna go pretty bad for both of them. Like, horror. Interesting to see here. So Pompeo has 2 towers with the same amount of health,
but
only 1 tower needs to go down.
This is where Pompeo really needs to make his Elixir advantage count. He's been focusing so much on building these Elixir Collectors, he hasn't really cashed in yet.
Oh, wow, great mini P.E.K.K.A there, especially with the zap to clear out all the other junk stuff.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I really like how Interlol's putting together this counterattack here.
If he can cycle, it could be really dangerous for Interlol.
See, the Inferno Tower, while fine, is a little like on the expensive side. If you notice, the goblins have hit it there, like that. Oh, 1! Oh, wow. So Interlol's definitely very expert at getting through damage, even like 500 at a time. Doesn't have to be a huge push.
And all of a sudden, just like rabbits, look at how many Elixir Collectors Interlol has.
You know what I've been really surprised to see out of Pompeo is there hasn't been a great freeze yet. There hasn't really been like a huge freeze.
Yeah.
Even there's been some setups for it. There just hasn't been like he just hasn't pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah, interesting to note. Inferno Tower is going to tag onto the Hog Rider, and that's going to mean that the Princess is the last standing unit on that right lane.
Zap does not. I don't think he's worried about any sort of tower damage at this point. Interlol is. Like, I think he's pretty content to just let this kind of happen as it happens, because I think if he's not gonna lose any one big push.
Yeah.
Unless of course it's a freeze that he's not ready for. I don't know if he's yet aware that Pompeo is playing a freeze deck.
The 1 minion makes it over. And the 2
minions. Oh, there's some damage right there.
No, the zap.
They come through in deep overtime. Interlol takes game 1 from Pompeo. You know what? I was super impressed. Interlol didn't actually have any collectors out early. Pompeo at one point had like 2 to 3 collectors out, but just
couldn't cash in.
Yeah, just couldn't translate the extra elixir into damage on the tower. And I feel like being stuck with Inferno Tower to defend against hogs is not great. Like, you'd rather have cannon. Oh, game 2 starting right now.
Let's hop into it. That's crazy.
Pompeo's coming back. He didn't like that loss. So Interlol is now playing a giant balloon deck, and we don't know what Pompeo's playing. One of the two decks.
Yeah, one of the two.
Giant balloon's interesting because that's the thing you really can't freeze on defense, and you really can't fireball it either.
Yeah.
I'll see. Will be very interesting to see what Pompeo can defend against. He's got the Ice Wizard at least. So, for example, if he holds the Ice Wizard for balloons, it'll be fine.
Oh no.
Yeah, they're both in a rush to get their collectors out. Very surprised that in a world where Miner is like a good card, that 2 weeks in a row now, collector decks have just really still shown up. Like, Miner decks are just having a really hard time at getting into the top 8 and really punishing all these Elixir collector decks that exist.
I think
there's a good freeze. The Giant's not going to do anything. We know that much.
The question is, what are you going to do after the freeze ends?
Yeah.
Now you're dealing with Giant, Barbarian, Skeleton, and a Princess.
This is a pretty big push, and Inferno Tower's not going to do it. Here comes the balloon behind the...
The Ice Wizard is so caught up with the Barbarian.
Yeah.
It's not going to slow down the balloon until too late. Is there a cannon? There's no other structures. The balloon... This is like the...
It can't reach the balloon that well. It does, though. It does actually do a
It's going to get a second shot.
Yeah, well, yeah, one more.
No, it does. It does.
I was like, the Ice Wizard's slowing it down. It's hard to count. I'm like, 1, 2. Like, why isn't it shooting?
Pompeo?
Already on the brink. And I don't know if he knew that Interlol was playing a giant balloon deck. You know what I mean? Like, it's possible to be really... That's the kind of deck that can really catch you off guard early in the game.
Ice Wizard gets taken down by the Skeletons. Barbarians to try to body block, but he should have played it against the tower. Spirit Goblins.
But actually, at the same time, though, Pompeo's doing a great job of pushing that damage through.
Yeah.
He had that freeze earlier. He's got a little more damage right there. They're about even.
Yeah. And also interesting to note that Pompeo is not relying on his Lava Hound deck.
No.
I mean, the thing that we kind of consider his classic.
Yeah.
His back is to the wall. It was his decision, right? He could have chosen that Lava Hound deck, but evidently this means that he feels that this Hog Freeze deck is strong.
Oh, and there's the freeze. He played the Skeletons first to try to bait the freeze. Oh, the Fireball comes down after. Pompeo takes a tower with 45 seconds left. Now, can Interlol in the next 40 seconds or so deal 950 damage? Of course, he's got the combo of combos, but Pompeo is ready. I love the minions right there by the river to distract the Inferno Tower. Great job to get both the balloons. Oh, and there's the freeze on defense. It's exactly what you want while an Inferno Tower is ticking stuff up.
Drop zone to take down the Princess. A second Ice Wizard, but the balloon is going to make it.
The balloon is going to take one shot, and it does!
Oh,
tying it up! We're going into overtime. Now, both people's left towers are full health, 100% full health, and both have 2 collectors. So we are about to see some crazy full blast play.
Freeze is coming in.
This could be a
very
fireball.
Careful. Don't
freeze.
commit all your Elixir.
Oh, he does! Now, where's the fireball?
Skeletons.
Is he going to fireball the back line or the front lines? He practices the front lines.
Okay, so the Barbarians are weak, but the Elixir, the cycle is so fast right now.
Here comes the balloon. And I like the Skeletons around the Giant to distract. Great play. The balloon is really close. Can he freeze on defense? Maybe, maybe not. He might be able to freeze right now. He does! He does! He's got the Goblins and the Ice Wizard slowing everything down, but both things are attacking the Giant and not the balloon! The balloon makes it there, gets 1 drop, not a second drop, though.
Oh, the Spear Goblins get taken down.
And the Princess is still shooting. Oh, he got that wasn't a very good arrows, but I think he thought there might have been a Princess there or something soon. Here comes another balloon. Can we stop the balloon in time? Here comes the Giant. The Inferno Tower's pulling it over, but it's actually, that might be there to pull the balloon, but it's not going to be. Here we go. Interlol takes it. 2-0 over Pompeo in the finals. Interlol just cuts a brutal path through the top 8. 2-0ing Real J Zig, 2-0ing Woody, 2-0ing Pompeo, all the way to the finals. After last week making the top 8.
Interlol is good,
buddy.
That was really. I mean, nobody could deal. Pompeo had some big connections with his freeze, both defensively and aggressively. Yeah. But Interlol just made it happen.
Interlol, I think he realized at one point, and this is just true of the Goblin Balloon deck in general. The Hog Cycle deck can I'll do these little cheapy attacks that do 500 at a time, but they have a hard time with big defenses, or big pushes. Golem is really good against Hog deck, for example, because you just can't stop a Golem in that deck a lot of times. And I think when Interlol realized that he could just cast Giant Balloon, it's 10 Elixir, but Pompeo does not have a very easy way to stop it. If he can do it, that he was able to push that tower in a moment when the next tower wins the game, Balloon is king. And you know what just blows my mind about Interlol? He did that with a level 3 balloon. He had an underleveled balloon the entire tournament.
And I mean, level 3 both means less damage and less health, and health is a big thing for balloons.
It's all of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't care about the damage so much
Yeah.
because the damage is 1,000,000, right?
Yeah.
It's like 3 hits kills a tower no matter what.
Yeah.
But the hit points are the difference between dying right in front and making it there. Interlol queued up with an under-leveled epic and went the whole way through. Interlol, congratulations. You just earned over $200 of gems. You could probably get that balloon caught up now.
Yeah. I mean, let's just go to the bracket and take a look, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, in the top 8, his journey, right? The real J-Zig. Okay, I think this name is a little less known, but he made it to the top 8. That's pretty, that's pretty
He
tough.
played well last week, too.
Woody, Pompeo himself, and let's take a look at his journey in the group stage. I mean,
Interlol's here, group 1. So he went through. Actually, he had a tough match. We saw him. He beat Raintown in the first round. Makawa, who top 4'd a few weeks ago or last week or whatever, in the second round. Zadian, who I feel like I've seen that name before. I'm just not sure. It sounds really familiar. I haven't seen actively bored. But either way, in addition to the top 8, he defeated 2 former top 8ers, 2 former top 4 players, in the first and second round to make it here.
Yeah,
Incredible.
His journey was not easy. It was not cut out for him, and he just paved his way through 2-0s, 2-0s, 2-0s. Every single thing is a
Every
2-0.
single 2-0. Interlol didn't drop a game. Interlol is on a 14-game win streak. Buy a lottery ticket today, Interlol. This is your day. 14-game win streak bursts through, and you know what? That wraps up the 9th Open Super Magical, and the story remains. 9 tournaments, several repeat top 8ers, but nobody has won 2 Super Magical Cups.
Yeah.
Do you think at the Invitational we'll see our first repeat winner, or do you think somebody who's top 4'd or top 8'd but never won will take home the Invitational?
So here's the interesting thing that I think takes away a little bit of it, because even if somebody makes a repeat win in the Invitational, we're just taking out of leaderboards, right? One of the big stories of the Super Magical Cup is there's always this new entrant that's kind of like sneaky, like nobody really knows what my name is, or they might be in a top end clan or something like that.
Sure.
But then they just enter the tournament, and who is understood to maybe be the most likely to take the next win, all of a sudden it's nobody that we thought, and it's this new guy, right?
Yeah.
And Interlol, I mean, the span of 2 tournaments, right? He was a new attendant in last week, but then this week he just rises all the way to the top, right? When we have the invitationals, I think it's likely to see something like maybe Clark Kent, Woody, Pompeo, or Interlol take the tournament, but then we're missing all that. It's just 16 players in this tournament.
There's great ones like Raintown's never won, but Raintown's a normal high strength competitor that I could see Raintown, of course, making a run and win. We've seen Nader's top 8 more once. So here's the 2 decks. Interlol, this is his Hog cycle deck. Very interesting for a Hog deck. We've almost seen all of them run 2 spells, right?
Yeah.
With Fireball or Poison or Freeze being the second spell. And this one just ran Zap. Interesting. And then the other deck was, of course, here's the Giant Balloon deck. And we talk about the importance of 1 Elixir Skeletons in collector decks, right? You collector, his goal is to go like Arrows, Minion, Princess, Skeleton collector, right?
Which is a very cheap cycle.
Which is 10. 10 elixirs really bad. And even if one of those 3 cost cards gets replaced by Barbarians, it's still 12, and 12 is still really cheap. So being able to get through his cycle at the cost of 10 or 12 until he gets 2 to 3 collectors out, then it's a lot more reasonable to spend 10 elixir on the Giant Balloon combo and still supplement it with, let's say another 5 elixir worth of cards, 5 to 6 elixir worth of cards. And that push is just so hard to stop because the Giant and the Balloon are just Terminator walking towards your tower.
Yeah, absolutely. Interlol makes it happen. Giant Balloon, Hog Cycle, Elixir Collector at the center of it all. And he's gonna win this tournament. Next week it's gonna be the Invitational. It's gonna be the top 16 from our leaderboard. So it's not gonna be 120. It's not gonna be 256. Just condensed down to the top 16 of the most successful in the previous 9 Super Magical Cups, and it's gonna be in a double elimination format. So
absolutely,
the game is gonna be a lot different. Double elimination means a lot of different possibilities can occur. But we'll be really interested to see who the eventual winner will be. Let's close out this last raffle.
Yeah, go for it. Close it out.
Close out this last raffle.
And don't forget, by the way, so make sure to follow us on Twitch, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitter. We're gonna be posting a lot more content starting with season 2.
Yeah.
If you want to see a daily match of the day of these high-level players, you can see that. Also, every week we post the top 8 decks, so it's both decks of the top 4 players. We post them on Reddit, so you can see all the deck lists of the top 4 players on Reddit, all the Cash Money deck lists.
Yeah.
You can see replays on YouTube. Give us a follow. Let's close this raffle and make sure 3 more people get their free gems. Camaro Bro, because I love to watch his YouTube channel. That seems fair.
He's
not top 16.
No,
This is who you want as a guest. Yeah, as a guest.
Camaro Bro. So
Camaro Bro. I'll write that down.
Says, yeah. Make sure we have all
Camaro Bro.
Camaro Bro. Yeah, I'll definitely check him out after the stream. I love to watch his YouTube channel. That's awesome.
Sounds good.
That's awesome. Let's draw the next one. He doesn't have a Y.
Gotta follow, and you gotta follow. You don't get Brian unless you follow, buddy. That's why we tell you to do it.
Pop123 says Orange Juice because he brings a lot of cool techniques and shows everyone.
Orange Juice is definitely one of the most educational players in the community. Very strong player. I don't know if you saw that. He went to Korea and played in a match in Korea and 4-1. It was a best of 7 series. So first to 4 wins, and he 4-1 his opponent over in Korea. That was really cool.
Yeah, I watched those videos and it was really fun to watch. I also watched the one with Chief Pat. It was really cool. So our last winner for the giveaway is going to be House Party 101. That's a good name. And he says, gaming with Molt since he will complain and say that's broken.
Depends on what it is, though. It might be something he likes playing and then it's not broken.
That would be interesting. I think that would be a lot of fun. Gaming with Molt.
We couldn't co-cast because I love Mortar too much and he hates Mortar too much. No. We wouldn't be able. We'd have to arm wrestle about whether or not Mortar's okay.
We would just have. I would be the mediator in the discussion, and I'd give each of you 1 minute to talk about your points.
It's at midnight. Points. Yeah, good points. Yeah.
All right.
So don't tune away just yet, guys, because if you like more high-level Clash Royale tournament play, there's actually another tournament going on right now live in Las Vegas, and we're going to go ahead and throw a host over to them when we go offline. Let's see. Clash Royale games. Let's see. I know it's on right now. I just want to make sure that we redirect you to the right channel. Yeah, we go down a little bit. Clash Royale. It is over on, here we go. So we're going to throw a host over to another live tournament that's going on in Las Vegas this weekend, which I think is actually really cool because you don't see a lot of live events. I believe this is the second major live event since the Helsinki tournament, right?
Yeah.
So again, thanks for tuning in Super Magical Cup. We post not yet, but we're every week, every Saturday at 12 Pacific. You can normally sign up on our website, but of course next week is the Invitational, not the Open. We'll talk next week during the Invitational about how Season 2 is going to be run, the new prize pool, the new leaderboard, the new format, all that cool stuff. We're really excited to share it with you. Thanks for tuning in to the best community tournament every single week in Clash Royale. Congratulations to Interlol and Pompeo. We'll see you next week at the Invitational.
See you guys.
And then just hit the host and it'll go.